medical study on the effects of marijuana use confirms that everyone knows you're high and that you'll most likely never stop feeling like this.
Your parents know you're high. Your friends know you're high. Strangers on the street know you're high.
Welcome to Everyone Knows You're High. Hosted by Uncle Kalei.
You're gonna never come back, all that stupid shit.
And Uncle Erik.
If I could retreat away.
Yeah, you should definitely try that.
This is forever. This is the new reality.
Enjoy the show. Enjoy the show. Enjoy the show. Enjoy the show.
Everyone knows you're high.
This episode is brought to you by Mills Nutrients.
Friendship joint.
Ooh, I love friendship joints. I love rolling joints and friendship. I love friendship.
I love smoking joints. What else? Go for it.
I don't really like smoking them, but I love rolling them. You know, one thing I also don't like is growing weed because it seems so cumbersome and difficult. Knowing what kind of nutrients and products to use, it can become cumbersome, like I said.
Cumbersome is the word for this commercial.
Whoa, wait a minute. This is some fire weed. Who grew this?
Yours truly.
Thought bubble.
Well, you can. If you come
You
by
can hear
our
my thoughts?
Yes.
Oh my God.
You know that, man. If you come by our shop, we can help you out. Mills pays the bills, man. That's all you need to know.
What shop?
Guru's Grow Supply.
Where?
It's in Pearl City.
Ooh.
Majestic Pearl City.
Another one of my favorite things. Pearl City. How long has Mills been providing these high quality nutrients for?
Premium nutrients for 30 years. I've been cracking at it for about 13, so yeah.
Which is pretty crazy because if you didn't know, he's only 14 years old.
Because I was one.
But cool. So I'm gonna roll this friendship joint to celebrate our friendship. I love friendship. And to celebrate our love for millsnutrients.com.
Definitely do it. Millsnutrients.com. Check them out. Mills pays the bills.
Can we do something? 1, 2, 3. Mills pays the bills. Start the show. Okay, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Everyone Knows You're High, starring the Grow Guru over here and myself, Uncle Erik, over here. So dumb. This week we're joined by Kai of the Cannabis Society of Hawaii. What was that noise?
That was my Frenchie.
Oh. And
Is that what you call it now?
And May from Malie Cannabis Clinic.
Thank you guys.
Thank you for joining.
Dude, she's hilarious, dude.
Just bring her on. Get her a mic already. She's so
Record
talkative.
holder most times on the podcast.
Yeah.
No?
The three-peat.
The three-peat.
Well, thank you guys for coming. We're here to talk about all these bills, like Destiny's Child. Can we get these bills passed or fixed, or what's the deal with these bills?
Yeah, we want to get to the bottom of it. There's a lot of people's perception on, how to read these bills. What does it mean? The general public's kind of confused on which way do I go? At first I was kind of confused.
Yeah.
Adult usage, morally speaking, that seems like a good idea. But then again, how does it affect the economy? How does it affect Hawaii as a whole? Looking at the other side of it. So, being a farmer, hearing two sides, it's like, holy shit, I'm kind of confused. So that's what this is for. It's kind of like, we can see both sides of all the bills coming out and talk about it. Let you guys do your thing. And that way people who's on or people who see actually have, everything's on the table. They can look and see for themselves and like, oh, all right, well, this, supports my, decision. This supports my decision. So it gives an open platform for everybody to kind of like, see what's up. Be right back.
Yeah. And I want to point out that this was hanging off. But this is a good opportunity to pause and think, because this could be another like tourism industry in Hawaii where it like, at first it was probably a great idea. Everybody loved it. And like now people are complaining about tourism and just like the influx of all this shit and how it affects things positively or negatively. But, there's a way that we can possibly get into this with like going into it correctly and not getting fucked over in the long run. Everybody doesn't get effed over.
Yeah.
Isn't that the source of all that noise?
Yes, it is.
Say something now.
Oh, yes. That's beautiful. On cue.
That was so perfect.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the podcast, Nebula.
Made for TV.
Yeah.
She's pretty chill too, so we won't have a problem with her.
Actually, I think a good place to start would maybe introduce yourself and share a little about each of your backgrounds, your involvement, your opening statement.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
super formal, bro.
Right, I got notes this time,
Right?
bro. I got
You're
fucking
like-
notes, dog.
I like borrow.
No, they're just questions. They're just
Joking.
questions.
I'm just joking.
Bro, I felt all intimidated when you're like, I got questions. I was
Oh,
like,
wait.
holy shit, dude.
I forgot my glasses too this time.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Want to start me?
Okay.
Bring the mic close and
Oh,
point it at
close.
your mouth.
Here we go.
Oh, my God.
Perfect.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah, you bring it close.
Cherry.
How's that? Good.
I can tilt.
Like-
There you go.
Okay.
Heyo.
Hi.
Perfect. Yeah, that sounds great.
Yes. Okay. So talo falava. My name is May Fuima Onopo. I'm a family nurse practitioner and the founder of Malie Cannabis Clinic. So we do certifications, education, and we do a form of community organizing and lobbying through mainly educating about bills that are going to affect cannabis patients, cannabis growers. And so historically, I've been an activist my entire life. I've been a cannabis activist since the 90s. I did Jack Herrera's walk in the 90s, hung out with Dennis Perrone at the very first Cannabis Buyers Club. So have truly seen this from the beginning to the evolution to where we're at now. So, I'd say more than a lobbyist, I'm an activist, and really just try to get people to understand what these bills potentially mean for them in everyday life, right? Kind of taking hard concepts and making them easy.
Thank you for your work. Jesus.
We talk about you all the time, how the work you does makes it digestible for people like us.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Seeing all that verbatim makes me real intimidated, because that's not up my alley. I'm not a paralegal. I can't look at that thing and be like, oh, this is what it means. So I'm kind of like, and thanks to you guys, we rely on you guys to translate it for us to come more informed in our decision. So that's why everyone's here. Yeah.
And you, sir?
It's hard to follow me.
It's like taking you right back to school again, yeah?
Yeah. Well, I guess I can just say that I'm Kai. I've probably seen a lot of you at some point through our cannabis journey here on the island. And I guess just fortunate to be here and involved in working with the depth and the amount of people that we've known even before cannabis, which is really awesome to see all of us here and present, and just using our voice in a way, because if we don't see something that we like, it's kind of unfortunate that it is time for us to kind of share our knowledge with each other and speak up, because it does affect all of us, right? And that's, I think, the most beautiful thing to see is that when the community comes together. So I guess I've always been lucky to be a part of like community-centered things and events. And I actually have had cannabis in my life for more than half my life. There's a real short story that I want to say real quick because of the kind of place and area that we're in. In high school, there was a person who climbed up a community park pole, and they had fallen from, I think, getting electrocuted or something, because they were trying to plug in a electric outlet or something like that. And as a teenager or someone in high school, when someone passed away, it was kind of a really shock to have someone so close to us, as young as we are, to pass away. And my introduction to cannabis was actually through a memorial event that we had, that we shared something in a room, in a circle, and we passed around a joint, and we said something nice about this person who just passed away. So I think everyone's introduction to cannabis is different, and I think as we start to hear more of these stories, we just become more, I think, respectful of like everyone's introduction to cannabis, whether it's good or bad. Here we are in a different place now to elevate everyone's knowledge and experience, and that's what's beautiful about like this day and age where community can do so much sharing, right? Just like this podcast right now, it's a lot of great sharing. And you know, you guys held it down for a long time doing this, so I really appreciate that. The community really appreciates that. Like that's really major for you guys to, you know, step up, fill that role, fill that gap, and provide that platform for the community. So sorry if that was a long way to say I'm thankful and grateful, but yeah, thankful.
Was that the first time you smoked?
It was probably the most vivid time I can remember. I don't know if it was like before or after that I actually like came to it and almost like tried to ask or request for that. But the other really neat story is that I remember, because I was the last one out of all my friends to try. So it took me a while, right? Dare graduate. My grandfather was 442. They gave him cigarettes in the war. He died of cancer, right? So like smoking anything was really like weird, right?
Right.
But I don't know. At some point, it turned on me, and it was like, wow, it seems helpful in some way. I don't understand it, but naked, I actually tried to time myself the first time, and can you guys guess what happened?
Tried to what yourself?
Time myself the first time.
Like what?
See how long I change, or if you have a different
how long you were high for?
Or how long it took me to feel something.
Oh,
so
like instantly?
Well, I was trying to time myself.
Like a minute.
You never even pressed start because he was high already.
Well, let's just say I forgot.
He woke up, it was like 6 hours later, there's all Cheetos all over the place.
Like, wow.
But the second time, it was pretty instantaneous that I had a mindset and mood change. Yeah. And for a young adult that was, still learning about myself and all that for like mental health reasons, it was really beneficial that I had something like that to help me to know thyself even better, right? To kind of like start to like do the work in a sense, right? Because mental health and even like therapists and all that, they weren't as available and wasn't as talked about back then, right? Which we're so grateful for the things that we have now, right? Yeah. Kind of sounds like I'm that old dude, like, oh, back in our day, but really like a lot of things are different.
I know, and like we were pawned off. Like I know cannabis for me, like at a young age, it was like 4th grade when I first tried it, and like I got super stoned. It helped me out as a kid because my mind would just race on, like, holy shit, slow down, you know? Like if I just slow down, that, just relax.
Yeah.
So like it helped me out as a kid, you know, but I had to sneak around, so it wasn't like readily available, you know. high school time, I got busted by my coach, right? I kind of needed it in high school. I thought it would have been beneficial for me if like I was allowed to,
Sweet.
not hide.
In the 4th grade, when you first tried it, did you start smoking regularly after that? Or was it more like if you came across it, or were you seeking it out at that young of age?
No. So like my cousin's boyfriend was a like grower, or like he sold a bunch, right?
So you'd steal from him?
No, he just give me. I'm like, here you go. And at first it was like
Trying to imagine
roaches or
How
havies,
old?
and he just like, I was like 10.
No, how old was this dude?
He was like 20 at the time.
We're trying to imagine the
we used to
mindset.
surf together.
I'm trying to imagine the mindset of a 20-year-old giving a 4th grader weed.
Right? Like a joint.
Now it looks bad, but when I look at it, I was like, that's pretty cool.
Wait, what you
I mean,
guys
that-
don't know is
maybe-
Kalei had this beard at 4th grade.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
shit.
it's like,
He's passing.
you're 4th grade? It's like, fuck yeah,
He's
dude.
passing for 30 already.
Yeah.
I
No,
just-
but it's like,
crazy.
that kind of helped me. Like, that was like my key to like, to operate, in life productively. I thought that if I didn't, and it may seem like to the person that has unbiased, like this guy's making fucking excuses for his drug habit. But no, it's like, dude, I really, if I didn't have it, there's nothing else that would have helped me. Like if I would have went on Ritalin, which was the common case, I think that would have fucked me up. I would have had more adverse side effects to myself as a developing teenager, rather than just being able to smoke weed and just chill because I've got a lot going on, So I think that's the difference, man. Like these kids nowadays, they're so lucky. They have like access to all kinds, and the law is changing for the better. And I like that, and that progression towards therapy in every sense of the term. In your work, you do just as much work, bro. I see you. You're all over the place trying to grind down and to show your side and what you're about and what you believe in. And how you interpret the bills coming out, right? Interpretation's a big thing, too, with the public. Seeing something that's written, it's open to interpretation, right? And you can take that thing and, like, if you don't know what you're reading, interpret it so many different ways. So thank you guys again for kind of dumbing it down for the public and allowing us to understand everything.
I was going to try to pull it up on here because I can't read that shit. It's far away, dude.
Is it possible to request more license for commercial grow other than the ones the current dispensaries get?
Are you
Thumb down
microdosing
emoji.
right now?
Huh?
Are you microdosing right now? How do you have such clear
Dude,
vision,
I'm like a
dude?
fucking hawk.
Bro.
Bald Eagle is my middle name, and ironically enough,
You're
I
like
lost
a
my
hawk.
fucking hair.
You're like a hawk, but bald eagle's your middle name.
Yeah.
What is that noise?
That's a good one.
What happened there? What are you touching?
So,
My headphones.
Okay.
is it
only on
possible
one
to
side.
request more license?
So, we were supposed to only have the original 8 licenses for 2 years?
Uh-huh.
Kai, wasn't it 2 or was it 3?
Oh, in the very beginning?
Yeah.
Before they were supposed to go horizontal? Yeah, I think it was like 2 years.
Yeah, so the original medical bill that got the dispensaries was supposed to only be a couple years, give them a head start. Then they all just basically pulled together, lobbied, to where it's just been them. But we should absolutely be opening it up horizontally now.
Mm.
Especially, licenses we can do now are for growing.
Mm-hmm.
And we can do, equity for delivery. Those are 2 immediate licenses that could be and should be added.
So by growing, you mean like having grow sites?
Oh, no. So if they wanted to have it horizontal, allowing more people to grow if they want to sell to the dispensaries.
Got you.
More licensed grows. But 2443, so one of the bills that is, because basically we have 3 bills that are still in motion. So 2443 it gives specific language for collectives.
Mm-hmm.
So now you can grow with 10 people per site.
Oh,
10
yeah.
people, 10 plants per site. Nobody's going to
Say anything.
mess with you. And then the caregivers, they don't sunset anymore. So that's one bill that's still going.
Okay. That's good. I mean, at least they keep that intact, right? You can still do the collective, and you can still, have your growers' rights without getting fucked with, right? Now, to have horizontal and to sell to the dispensaries and to do all that, is it a reoccurring thing where, like, seed to sell, all that compliance has to come with it? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of...
I'm going to say most likely,
Yeah.
just because there needs to be some kind of tracking system to verify you're doing something that's transparent, right? And that's
Right.
because they're still understanding it, so they need someone to be like a little more upfront and outgoing to make sure that they have the right information, because it's very easy for them to get caught up, and then once they start to kind of like wonder what you're doing, that's when they spend more time on the things that they don't need to, right?
Right. And see, that's the thing where, like, farmers, especially grassroots farmers, I don't think they have the money for that security, the cameras, the BioTrack, and hiring someone on board that's, clued up with all that programming. So, like, hitting the ground running is not a thing for them. They're going to have to really put it into first gear, second gear, and then kind of like ramp up, right?
Well, and that's where the system should support that equity person, right? The social equity person, to give them a leg up and a chance,
Okay.
either at a discount or like just pass it through, because there does need to be like a shift in balance. And I think there have been some groups who have put in testimony that they want to see. I think it was like up to like 200 licenses being added. And if you look at the comparison to like Oklahoma, who has like 2,000, 200 extra licenses in a horizontal fashion is not that many, because you have to look at, there's so many different parts of the business or the distribution cycle, right? She mentioned transportation is one of them, right? Even security could be almost pulled out as its own. I think they made provisions for event permits, things like that. Consumption permits, I think, was one thing they talked about. But I think to even narrow in even more, like, who is that person fit? And that's when you get deeper into like the text and the language. We want to ultra define that to make it actually speak to the people that you need to help and serve, right? The community. And so one of the things that we've seen in it is they tossed around some numbers that, these a social equity applicant can't make more than a certain amount, right?
Okay.
And it's like, well, where do you guys pull that number, right? Where's your backup? Where's your research? Where's your anything?
Right.
How'd you guys find this number, right? And because no one is really answering to that, because that social equity part of it was pulled from the other social equity group that they had previously that made comments, right? So it's kind of floating down the river here when it needs to stand up against the community and the people, right? And that's where, looking at the information, I think one of the suggestions that we made was if you look at the median income, that's a more base number to use to qualify for a social equity applicant, because a social equity applicant can't make 200 grand. That's not a social equity applicant, right? Mm-hmm. So it has to be ultra defined where it does speak to the people that it needs to serve. So
what's the budget allotment for the social equity program?
I think they mentioned it was like 10 million that they wanted to invest into it.
Okay, so 10 million off of what, 200? You said 200 licenses?
Well, and that was a suggestion by, I think, I don't know. Do you remember what group it was?
It wasn't in the bill.
Yeah, it wasn't in the bill, but it was
just a suggestion. Yeah.
By one of the groups.
Let's say that's 200 brick and mortar, right? That opens up, that can horizontally integrate the farmers. That's not including the farmers, right, themselves.
No,
Wait, does that allow them to open
No,
up,
but
or does
that-
that just allow them to sell to dispensaries?
No, that allows them to open up, because they're looking at a horizontal model, which is you're going to fill like cultivation, manufacturing, retail, transportation, maybe even security, right? So that's 5 categories right there. So if it's even 100 more licenses, that's only 20 in each category, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of the finance committee pushback is that it's not serving more people.
Yes.
And that's where, like, we totally agree, it needs to serve more people, right? So retracting like that tax and making it go to which is like the GET.
Yes.
Because right now it's said it's going to a cannabis tax.
Okay.
And that cannabis tax isn't going to GET. So we understand that that is some of the issues that need to be worked out,
Okay.
which is very important, right?
Yes, yes.
And you need, because this way it's going to serve more people, but also the continual tax from it can continue to serve more people, because this is kind of like one of the touchy things that I've heard lately is that, you know, like, well, kind of like we don't want outside money. And I've heard this a couple times before, but at least in the bill it says that, you know, majority % owner, which is important to retain the local ownership, right?
Yes.
But at the same time, I've heard horror stories from people that have started in the same way that we think and intend, where, you know, we don't want outside money. And the horror story I've heard in another state was that they had a license awarded, but they couldn't do anything with it. Even if they could pull some money together, it wasn't enough to kind of like open up, right? And then, you know, they've had a license for like, you know, X amount of time. It's just kind of sitting there kind of thing. So, you know, what I think though is that the barrier of entry is already easily there. It's just some of the modifications on like the go-to-market approach, which is being a little more compliant, consistent, like, you know, either if it's maybe different tiers of testing for, like, you know, there's a farm tier, there's a middle tier, and there's a other tier, it doesn't matter, right? But at least that way they can diversify and have more licenses, which can serve more people. Because at the end of the day, it should be like the organic fruit movement. It's like freedom of choice.
Yeah.
Right? It's like if you can choose to get organic mango, or you can choose not to, right? It's your choice. So I feel like that would be really nice, is that the people would choose with their money or their dollar, right? It's like, well, I'm going to make sure that I want this to go to a farmer, right? And it's kind of like this whole commercialization, like Walmart versus food truck, right? But they both exist, but it's the person who's going to choose convenience over the experience. And sometimes that's going to work for some people. Sometimes that same person is be like, you know what, that was a little too convenient, that's kind of bland. Let me get some, like, really that earth. I want to go in and, like, get the experience. And we're lucky because we're in the middle of the ring of fire. And the experience is already here, right? It's already coming here. And again, like, we don't want more tourists, but we want more people that respect our land. And so I think Brent and Hawaii Patients Union, they did a good thing a year or two ago, maybe it was like about ecotourism and how the person that comes under like the cannabis tourism side, they respect the land. They want to like do more as they come here. They want to experience the people and all that. It's a different type of tourist.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where like you kind of get like a little bit into the weeds, but at the same time, like, yeah, we don't want like the tourists who don't respect the island, but we want the tourists that come here and want to like maybe get in the land and actually like volunteer to help, right, or volunteer to learn how to take care of the land, things like that, right? So it's a little bit different than like the Waikiki played out version, although we know it exists, but so does like the farm experience and getting into the mud, right?
Right.
Yeah.
To rely on tourism is like, for me personally, being from here, is a dangerous thing because it allows gentrification. It's like right around the corner, you know, and that's the thing where like we are going to be dependent on tourism, and cannabis is going to stimulate that tourism, right? Which allows a lot of big money to come in. I mean, it may not be transparent money, but it's going to be big money that's going to come in, and it's going to sway a bunch of shit, right? And that's what I'm afraid of just my home, and not like, you know, me being a cannabis farmer or me being a farmer altogether. It's like I worry about my home and how the plant I love might negatively affect my home, which is ironic to even talk about. But that's why I'm very careful on this, because me as a person from here, being Kanaka too, I have a moral decision to be made, because I look at cannabis as a way to like do what I love and to support my family. But at the same time, that's just an open wound to be infected by the colonizing big business to come and gentrify Hawaii and ruin it all, you know? So like that's a tight rope that like I walk every day, that I kind of like think about, you know, in my decision making skills.
In my mind, like I like the idea of this kind of craft cannabis versus the big box, you know, version, and how that might attract a different kind of tourist. But in my mind, what I'm picturing is those types of people who travel up to Northern California to the wine vineyards, and they're fucking real snooty and real fucking annoying, and they fucking are gonna start coming here and making like they're fucking all into it, and they're just faking the funk so they can come to Hawaii and just like post it on social media. You know what I mean? Because that's what it's gonna be eventually. It's already happening right now.
Well, I mean, our
But-
beautiful beaches lure people in and be like, I want to spend the rest of my life here.
Right.
Now it's like, oh fuck, dude, I can smoke weed and look at this beautiful thing. I want to spend the rest of my life here. Now you see those big, huge houses pop up.
Breaking news! Breaking news! You can do that already.
Yeah, but I don't want cannabis to be one of the big reasons of it happening. You know what I mean? And like, for us, that it's a way of life. You know, it's something sacred for it to be exploited, and as such, it's like, it's a kick in the balls. It's like, this is your home, and the thing you love the most, you know, fucking sends you packing.
But what if it's a way that you could make a living in your home and be a beacon of hope and actually a positive educating force in that to kind of combat all the shit you're talking about?
No, you're totally right. Like, I'm being pessimistic when I talk about this, right? Because we've seen Hawaii do through so much transitions, and we're not aware of it. You know, politically, economically, like there's a lot of things happening, and you know, if we snooze on this, we may lose our opportunity as people of Hawaii, doing that jump and becoming, you know, like now a lot of us are out of middle class, lower class. You get a lot of people, a lot of families that's doing well. You know, like I want to see that. I remember growing up, right? There wasn't that much homeless coming around.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot more local families that would conjugate in, you know, public events, and like that local spirit was around. Nowadays it's like, fuck, I don't see that anymore. It's like downtown LA everywhere. Like, holy shit, I don't want to leave the house, you know? Like that's gone. And I think this is an opportunity to bring that family dynamic back, and that old Hawaii dynamic back, with something that could generate so much income and, you know, make everyone happy doing it. Like,
Well, I see a lot of these Hawaiian named businesses in the mainland, and they're giving an impression of what it is, right? Nothing is really coming centered from here. So that's where I think, you know, we're not exactly being represented. So in this way, at least we can be represented, and it's authentic. So when people do want the real authentic experience, and I think a lot of people are very inquisitive, especially because of the lure of you know, Hawaiian genetics and the way of life and Hawaiian people in general. I think you know, I hear a lot more people, they have respect for the land and the people, but they're just looking for more information of how they can be approaching it correctly, right? And so they're like being a sponge and like just trying to soak up different opportunities to learn more about the culture, how people operate, what matters to these people. Not to the fact that we would want them moving here, but I feel like if they respect it enough, maybe they won't, you know?
Right.
You know, and I've heard that before, right? Someone's like, yo, I came here on vacation and I really wanted to move here, but I respect the people so much, I know my place isn't here. And I was like, I commend you. That's
awesome.
kind of like, that's a very mature like thought, and this was from a young person, right? Like, so I'm like, I applaud that thought process, and for people to try to understand, you know, the people and the culture that deep. I think it's good, and that's where you know, media, long form platforms like this, it helps so that people can get into the mindset, right? Get really like hear it from the people who are from there, right? So
right.
Yeah.
Be right back.
So sad. What'd you do? Put her in a cage, dude?
Oh,
Oh.
you gotta put it in the middle here.
Right?
Yeah,
You
let
gotta
her
put your
walk
own,
around on the
own
table.
like a
Just-
seat, like a
like a baby
couch.
seat, like a high chair
Like-
instead of a tray.
Jeez.
But it's inevitable that the cannabis industry, like an adult use industry here in Hawaii, and the tourism industry is just gonna go hand in hand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You cannot fight that. And I think for people who are already looking at the current hospitality industry as an issue, that's a scary prospect that it's just going to increase the amount, right? I mean, because of the potential increase in tourism, the state might allow for more hotels to be built. There's currently like a cap of number of rooms that can be in hotel rooms in Waikiki, but I think they skirt that by calling them like condo hotels where people actually own them and they're not, you know what I mean? It's this weird fucking loophole.
Well, I think if they're a big hotel or if they're a chain, it's going to be hard for them to adjust and adapt to cannabis because they're under a certain family type of atmosphere, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you might see a lot of like boutique hotels change over to like being
Those
cannabis
exist.
friendly. And, you know, if you notice anywhere that has adult use, there's not many places that travelers can partake and feel safe.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, that's where if it's a lounge or a consumption permit or something that's maybe dedicated, and they do have these, right, like 420 style hotels in different places. Because even Amsterdam they have their cafes, right, and you can smoke inside. So there is technology that allows it, right, or whatever, like HVAC that allows it, right?
Yeah.
But big hotels, I don't really see them investing in it like that because it's hard for their perception. Like Aulani, never.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're never like, no matter how legal cannabis is, they're never going to be like, yeah, here's a 420 section for our Disney people. Like, it's not going to happen.
But if they have a regular cigarette smoking sections, you could probably get away with it there. If it's like legal to that kind of extent, where it's like some places might
that's
not.
what they'll do. Probably.
But I feel like the hotels, like you mentioned, like the boutique hip hotels, like I don't know what it's called now. It used to be called the Modern. It's by the Ilikai. They were like one of these kind of like fun, hip, young hotels where they cater to this kind of party lifestyle. I think those types of hotels would be quick to adopt this change and like allowing for like a cannabis section, a smoking section, that kind of stuff, because they like want the young crowds coming. They want to keep them full with that, right? And that whole party vibe, come party with us. What is it? Oh, fuck, I can't even. The Shoreline is another one.
Yeah.
They have that in the pool. Wish you were here. Like they have like runway events and all kinds of shit on their pool deck. So it's like a place like that would be wise to adopt. But again, like I said, that's a scary prospect for people who are already concerned about tourism. Like this fuck over, you know?
Yeah, well, and I mean, they were super against it. Like all of those the hotel, the tourism authorities, all of them were like, absolutely not. Because they were like, we're going to have to change our policies. We're going to have to like kick people out. Like, you know, they were like,
it's a headache for their system. Right?
It's a headache
they
for
just
them.
recently not recently, but you know, I mean, stopped having smoking and non-smoking rooms.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like now you can't smoke on hotel properties at all. Like shit.
Right.
So they just did all
So
that. They have to
shitty.
walk all that back for cannabis.
Yeah, no, it's because that was a big deal with pre-rolls, right? Like why pre-rolls were passed, but because of our smoking laws, you know, so it's like there's so many intricacies when it comes to legalization that I was like, oh shit, that I hadn't even thought about until the hearings when all these people are coming out, and I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't even think
Pretty
about
interesting.
that.
It's like it's such a rabbit hole that just keeps on going. Like, how far do you want to take it, right?
Yeah.
Up until like, I don't want to kick people out. Like, well, that might sway my decision on how I vote for this thing. Like, it's so crazy. And that's what I mean when I'm talking about taking the sacredness out of the plant, right? Yeah, we're fighting to free the plant. But at some point in time, we're taking the sacred, object out of this plant. And that's like to enjoy it free and clear.
It should be free for shaman and the layman alike.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it should be free for people who want to use it as medicine and see it and revere it. But it should also be free for the people who just want to fucking have a good time.
If you like smoke, go for it.
I think so, right? Like,
right.
Yeah.
If pro-choice, man.
Right.
Let me just scroll down. There's like a long comment on there.
So like Seth said,
I'll put it over the
how
dark.
would you go about obtaining a license
For
like
any type of business?
Yeah, he says like a nursery.
So there are none available. So that's like a big issue with our current medical program, and the 8 licenses is just their chokehold.
Yeah.
Where they're like, it's only us, but it's time to like expand medical.
Yeah.
Like that's where we're at. And I think a big win is for people to now be able to basically grow 100 plants safely. You don't have to worry about local law enforcement intervention. I think it'll give people an opportunity to really be able to scale, and just not be looking over your shoulder, not be like, what's coming next, right?
Yeah.
And, the thing, it shouldn't really be called legalization. It's really commercialization and regulation.
That's a good way to look at it.
That's what James Anthony told me. I was like, I can't take credit for it, but he's like, that's what this bill is. It's commercialize and regulate. It's not legalization.
Shout out Uncle James.
I know. He's the man. And, a lot of people say that I am anti-legalization. I'm not anti-legalization. I'm just anti this particular bill, because when we look at what we have now, so through testimony with the Department of Health, they did all the collectives, right? They did a count. So right now we have probably close to 4,000 people in our state growing collectively. So when legalization were to happen, if it were to happen using this bill, it would shift the plant, like all of these people growing would have to stop growing the way they're growing, and it would only go to like these few licenses.
Yes.
So that for me is like taking the plant away from the community in a lot of ways, and just
It's not freeing the plant.
it's not.
Well, also, like, you gotta look at it this way: is like the farmers are gonna. It's like how Celia said, it's suicide
Yeah.
because they're gonna fuck with the market,
Yep.
and the overhead's unreal for weed. So it's like these guys can't keep up; they're gonna drown. So that's another thing that we gotta talk about, and we gotta make sure it's clear that like if we do that, where horizontally we just give it to we sell wholesale to the dispensaries, if we're able to do that. Now you gotta that chokehold.
Yeah.
We're on that chokehold now. They can do whatever they want. $200 a pound. See you later, Kalei. See you later, Erik.
What were some of the good or bad things that were in the bills that didn't pass this last time, or just most recent?
So I think for the legalization, the good things were the license categories. So the categories were manufacturing, growing, retail. They had a farm to consumer one that was a small license, and they had a collective license.
Got you.
So those, their license categories, I felt like were good.
Mm-hmm.
But
You check on that?
I know,
thing?
I'm like, is
She's-
she okay?
You want to just let her in here and walk around? And
No,
shit?
she's a
do that.
fucking terrorist.
She'll butt chew everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she'll go through all the drapes and shit. Nah, she's fine. She'll scream a little bit. She'll tuck herself out. She's fine.
Cry yourself to
She'll cry herself to sleep. She's like a baby. She's like a furry,
Is.
ugly baby. It's horrible,
Sounds horrible.
dude.
Yes.
She put her in the bed. She sprouts out like a baby. Like,
This is my bed.
yeah,
She just takes up the whole bed
dude.
like a
Yeah,
baby.
paws in every direction. I'm like, fuck, man. You try to roll her over, and she doesn't want to. She bases out.
I love it.
I'm thankful for
Oh,
got way ahead of you, buddy. I'm thankful for pets. I'm thankful for the furry little friends that we have in our lives. I love fucking animals, and not in that way. I love animals. You're gonna fucking cut that one. I love animals.
I love
and-
animals.
And it just brings so much joy to my life just to have other things and human beings around me, and like human beings can be kind of assholes, and having these animals here, like, it brightens up my life. So shout out to Nebbies.
Loud fur babies.
Right?
Is that where Furby comes from? Like the amalgamation
you
of
just
fur?
you just decoded it,
and
dude.
baby.
Oh, dude, you done it.
What kind of weed is this, dude?
Shout out to Professor Pete.
Right? First time.
I'm thankful for my pets too.
Yeah.
I've had pets more recently as an adult. As a kid, my parents didn't allow it, and it was really awesome to have like your own animals that you take care of. And yeah, now I have human babies though. So yeah, thanks.
Don't
Yeah.
get it mixed up.
Likewise,
with
bro.
pets.
Thankful for the fur babies.
Yeah, dude.
I'm also thankful for Weed Maps for hooking us up with all this sweet swag and shit.
Right?
Very nice of them, man.
And these big inflatable joints, which I'm gonna pass to you since.
I know. Or can you just kill your camera, your feed for me? Just move it. Thank you.
There you go. Double time on Kai.
Double time, Kai.
Wait, hold on. Let me balance this back before I take my hand away, and then.
The
Yeah.
thankful.
Shout out to the ube.
Right?
Ube
Shout out
is
to
life.
Ube.
Timestamp this,
cream
Mike. You gotta put
cheese.
one of this doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, or whatever. Those fucking bars and tones.
I'm super thankful for family.
Well, you gotta save your answer if you're
Oh,
if you're gonna.
Huh?
Because we're not gonna post. We're gonna edit this part out of you.
Well, I think
This-
we
all
could
this right
just
now, we're gonna-
do the voice part of it.
Yeah. Just don't cut to her.
Yeah, just.
Well, I just blew the cover. Beep that shit out that I just said. Shit. I didn't know you guys had a plan already, man. I was thinking of
It's-
a
it's
way.
all
I was
response.
thinking of a way that we could edit this.
You gotta
nicely.
flow with it, dude.
Yeah, I think we could just do.
I'm in
the
director mode. I'm thinking of post production.
Post.
Anyway, okay, stop. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Oh, I mean, always thankful for, family and friends and you guys. Like, thankful for our cannabis community. It's super dope. Like,
It's a cool bunch of people.
It's
man.
a really cool bunch of people. So,
Yeah, it's crazy. Like at the expo, I was like looking at the people coming by, and I'm like,
Shall we double on me?
yeah, now you can double on me.
and just like seeing everybody,
You
and
guys
like
are winners.
everybody's just super happy. You know, I love that shit, man. It's so cool.
Totally.
That's what I was saying after is like just seeing everybody and just everybody being happy to see everybody was super awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
it's
needed
almost
that.
like that.
I needed that.
Yeah. It's a sense of unity, you know, in this in a time of like uncertainty and like alienation. You know, we were always like we're programmed to be like alone all the time, and having the plant just bring everybody together. You know, like everyone
sure.
is fighting for the same thing. Like we got to realize that everybody's freeing the plant. We want to free the plant, no
Yeah.
matter who you talk to. They want the plant to be free. So, with that being said, like, what's your motivation for freeing the plant, right?
Yeah.
Each individual out there. Some people want to make money. Some people just want to heal their family members. Like, everybody in between.
Is it about accepting all the reasoning behind everybody's want to legalize it and just kind of finding like that common ground? Or is it like, because it feels like some people's mentality is like, there's no way for that. And this, we don't want it that way. We only want it this way. But is there a way for everybody to get, even if the people want to make money, go, let them try. But like, as long as there's provisions or regulations that don't just let them completely just
Bro.
bulldoze everybody and like at least
Yeah.
give
The only regulations should be health regulations.
Yeah.
That's the only
Yes.
regulations that
Okay.
should be on cannabis, right? It's
Right.
like, is this fucking thing safe or is it not?
yes.
That's the only one that should be attached to cannabis. Yeah, you like make a business, go ahead.
Mhm.
It's up to the free market to decide whether your
Yeah.
business will survive or not.
Right.
Like we already know statistically, it's safe.
Yeah.
You know, over the long span of things, is it safe? I mean, historically, yes. So why wouldn't you embrace this idea to make all this money? You know, and in a good way.
Or make some money. Make a living.
Make a living. But like
Yeah.
I'm talking about the grant, like the government.
Yeah.
Looking
yeah.
back on it, like, why not just fucking turn your eye and just look the other way? Because ultimately, you're gonna be making all the fucking money. The money's gonna go right back.
Yeah.
You're gonna tax these people.
Just shut up and take our money like you normally do. What the fuck?
What?
Why are you
Get it.
resisting? What, are you allergic to money now or something?
Yeah,
What the
achoo!
fuck?
Oh,
Oh.
hundreds.
Oh, it has cannabis on it. We're allergic.
It's a different color green.
Fuck, so irritating.
It's sticky. This money's sticky. Ugh. Yeah. See?
What?
She's protesting.
She turned into a chicken.
Yeah, right? Dude, I don't know. She's a dog of many noises.
She's like singing opera up there.
Oh my
She's just like,
God.
She's enjoying herself. What are you thankful for, Mr. Kai, Mr. Librarian?
Thankful for the opportunity to get together and have these conversations because this is the building blocks of like what the community is about.
yeah.
I know these conversations happen even without a podcast, right? It happens through everyday people. But now it's actually like a way for us to kind of come together and just keep projecting out, keep rounding out our idea and vision, because more community input happens, right? And that's why it's going to continue to evolve and I would say morph, but it's gonna take on its life of its own, because the community is going to continue to grow in different ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we have a chance to make sure that we're represented, because if we're not saying it, somebody else is,
Totally.
right? And not that we've been quiet, it's just, some other people have a different avenue to say things. And I think it's good that we all try in any different way in all ways, and then kind of just seeing what works, right? What vibes and what kind of impact it creates.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where we're starting to turn a corner here, because I think in seeing a lot of the bills and the hearings and all that, I definitely get a vibe that there are people in the legislature that are tired of the way things are going, just as we're tired of the way things are going. So I think we can all agree that nobody likes it how it is now.
I think it's kind of scary though, because like we're trying to step into this unprecedented time, right? Like, okay, cannabis business, legalization, right? We need us as Hawaii now, as a state, as a people. How do we protect ourselves from the sharks that's looming above, that's waiting to smell blood when we can't get our shit together, right? Because this is a blossoming program we're not used to. We don't have the infrastructure set, right? So like, I think that's where our first fight is, to keep these sharks at bay so that we're able to develop the proper infrastructure to kind of expand and do business.
Well, I kind of think just like how Lahaina, you see people pull together overnight pretty much. I feel like if we know who to support, if Kalei is one of the 10 people who have a license, and maybe I don't know the other 9, I'm going to support Kalei. And this is kind of where, like, I think people really choose with their money, right? Like, they want to support the people, like, to the extent where, like, they want to see you do good because you're doing good for other people.
Yeah.
Right. I think like that's where like there's more of a conscious
reciprocation, right?
Yeah. They're like, they feel like more tied in, right? Because they want to support good causes.
Yeah.
And so like, if someone wants to support Walmart, they can. But if someone wants to support Kalei's weed, I think that's going to be really important, because the things that you've done to curate your selection and all that, right? Like, and that's where, like, I don't know, like, some people are like, oh, well, all these other competitions is going to make yours. Well, you know what? You're not even competing.
Yeah.
What have they got that you have?
Right.
They don't have it.
Yeah, we want that insurance, though. As people who grow.
The insurance is what you're doing. The insurance is what you're doing. Your SOP, your genetics, your intellectual property. Right. The way that you grow it, your strain, those are things that are unique to you that they can't duplicate.
Right.
So how are you competing? I don't think you're competing with them, because you have something that's unique. No matter who comes here, they don't have that, what you got.
Yeah, but like, again, I revert back to history. All right, we look at the impact of Monsanto here in Hawaii, and how like local farmers try and make it with their produce, but Monsanto comes and buys a property next to them, and somehow seeps through the cracks of the laws to get these guys to submit. That's what, like, for me, honestly, that's what makes me scared as a farmer. Yeah, maybe we do brand ourselves. Zane's got a good brand, like, coming out. He's doing good things. Having those types of people come in and, like, okay, yeah, they made it. But what's to stop these guys that's so devious, that's willing to do that? And again, might be pessimistic, but these devious guys are just trying to come in and ruin you.
But couldn't there be like things in a bill where it's like, these licenses are reserved for residents, and you have to have lived here for X number of years to prove? I mean, yes, there could, you could have a local who has like outside investors, and that might be fine if that local chooses to do that. But could you imagine? You said 200 licenses. Imagine if all of those were like earmarked and says local farmers, local people. Imagine you had 200 legal plugs now. 200 places you could go in Hawaii that you could go get your fucking herb from. That would be amazing. And you're supporting local. And in this kind of resurgence of supporting local and all this kind of stuff, like, bro, that shit's gonna fucking sell. I mean, it's gonna be a good selling point, I think, and it also
Buy local.
kind of satisfies the need to like support the
local.
farmers too. You know what I mean?
Well, and so when
Sorry.
whoever the group that introduced that suggestion, I think they had like up to like 50% being social equity or whatever. And I think there are other groups. I think one of them was like Hawaii Appleseed, and it's like, well, they want to see more. I think they were saying like instead of like 25% of the tax going to social equity, they want to see like 50 or 60, right? But also like the licenses that they do roll out, even to like maybe to at least match the current 8, right? And if you separate the current 8 on what they have, right? Cultivation, manufacturing, delivery, right, or transportation, security, and retail. That's 5 licenses, right? So 5 times 8, that's at least 40 more. So the first 40 should definitely be social equity based, right? So it has that at least starting to not even reverse, but create this balance, right? Because it's at an imbalance right now, right? And one of the things that I can hear from like the finance committee and people like that is they're always like, well, you know what, like the tax. Well, the problem with the whole tax thing is that if you have a limited license, no matter what the tax is, the price of the product is going to be high.
Yeah.
Right. So they have to kind of get the idea that you have to open up licensing and have multiple licenses where there is some competition, right? But at the same time, that there's going to be an overall tax that's still going to be generated, right? Yeah. But at least that way, there's more people that can fill these various licenses, and they don't have to be a vertical, right? Because we know like a laboratory guy, right? And he would be good for manufacturing, right? He's like keen on that, right? And maybe he doesn't want to do cultivation. He wants to work with you in cultivation, right? But maybe someone like Erik knows a lot about retail and compliance. So you know what? You guys create a pipeline, and now you have an exclusive that is endorsed within
a collab,
What if-
basically.
I have 2 things to say. One was prior what we were talking about regarding like the licensing 50% being social equity. Could there be wording? Would it be a good idea that the other 50 are the resident thing? Like the first one is social equity, the other one is resident only, so that covers all.
Everybody
all of them.
would have to be a resident.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah, everybody, and then 50 go to specific social equity people. Those licenses would be for them. And then if you're not in that category, maybe you are whatever, a colonizer, and fucking.
Oh, you look at me.
Right?
You said it earlier. That's why you used it earlier. But
That's right. I said
But
it.
as long as you've been a resident for 7 years, you could get a license here in Hawaii, and then it's still at least supporting local in that sense.
Yeah, the majority would win, right?
And then the second thing I wanted to say, I forget what it was. Shit. Oh, regarding like your homie with the laboratory, could he stack licenses so that way you don't have to have like all these labs? Could he hold the licenses for Kalei, for a dispensary, for
I think he's talking
Zane?
about more like open choice. Like if the lab guy wants to exclusively work with you, and then you have exclusive, like you want to work with him, and then like we form this collaboration where we put out a product that's just like proprietary.
Yeah, but wouldn't that be bad business for the lab dudes?
No
Because now they're
fucking
not.
way. No way.
No, they already got
Because you're a bomb
exclusives.
grower, right? I'm a bomb lab guy. It's like, hey,
Yeah, but with the licensing you have, how much product can you actually?
well, that's up to
produce?
the literature and the licensing, right? It's like, okay, well, he's an extract guy on a commercial level. He has a license, so you would think he can work with whatever. I mean, not whatever, but a hefty amount to where he can make his money, right? He has to do that.
Yeah.
So
There wouldn't be a limit on how much pounds he could produce, basically.
right.
He can produce a manufacturer license could probably they wouldn't be able to say, oh, you can
Put a
only
cap on it.
produce. Yeah, they can't do that.
Like homie's laboratory, right? Kyle. So if he was like, he got a license, he's like, Erik, I want to work with you. Then it's like, okay, let's work with Erik and his flower. That's the best flower that he chose.
It's like
and,
a Nike fucking Off-White collab or something. It's like exclusive shit.
There you go.
That was for you young kids out there.
Cool Dad Erik,
Cool
son. No, yeah, I understand the economics behind it and like how they're gonna attack it. I want to close that lane of like the fucking colonizers coming by, you know what I mean, and like
Walmarts.
trying to come in and bulldoze us, because the old Hawaii is bulldozed by fucking corporations, Costco, Safeway, all that shit's coming up. There's nothing that the mom and pops could do. And when I had
Yep.
my shop, it was like during COVID, I was like, I said this before. I was more inclined to be like, hey, I'll sell fucking toilet paper at my shop to keep people going for Costco. If someone was to like,
Right.
I would put my inventory on the back burner to help the people, and it's still a shop nonetheless. I can do business, I can stay afloat, and Costco wouldn't feel that fucking dent. So it makes me question, and that's why I question the black and white. I question the verbatim behind that. I question the intentions. It's like,
Yeah.
fuck, man, it's a tough one. It's a sticky situation.
Now that's what I call a sticky situation.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's super complicated. That's this session and this bill. There was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of things, and I have been going to the Capitol for over a decade. I did a lot of the GMO, a lot of the Monsanto stuff with Total Babes Against Biotech. So I've been going there for a long time, and these hearings were some of the most intense.
No shit. Huh?
Yeah, I even the lawmakers. You were there. The lawmakers would bicker a little. It was intense.
Is it because they were split on decisions on who's
Yes.
voting yay or nay?
Yeah.
It was actually really good to see though that they're actually not just falling over for each other.
Yeah, they
They
were
were engaged.
fully.
They were,
yeah.
Have you ever seen that one where
They're using the system for its purpose.
You ever
Yeah,
seen that one with the
exactly.
Korean politicians where they go fucking ape shit?
They
and
smack each other.
and they start flipping each other, and the mics come flying in chairs. I'm like, oh man, I want to sign up for that.
That's intense.
I want to
That's
watch that
amazing.
shit.
It would be cool if it would be like Parliament, even in England, where they just swear and fucking talk shit about each other.
Fucking
Right?
duel, man. We don't see that shit anymore, right?
Well,
Right in the
That would
front of
be
the state
amazing.
capitol.
whoever
Read 'em
wins
out,
gets the bills
Kalei.
passed.
Read
Yeah,
'em
it's
out.
like, all right, if you're quick on the draw, I guess you won. Right or wrong, fuck.
Hell yeah.
What else was good that was in the bill?
I already said a good thing.
Your turn.
Your
Your
turn.
turn.
Let's see.
Kai, you had your
which,
hand raised?
which bill are we talking
The,
about?
The ones that didn't pass.
The legalization.
Okay,
the-
so
I don't
this
know the
is,
numbers.
SB 3335. Okay,
Yep.
so I think one of the good things. Well, let's start with one of the bad things, because one of the bad things is over and extra regulation. Right, any kind of extra funds allocated for the war on terror, on drugs, and all this other stuff, right? But I think in retrospect, what was outlined to help that was education. So it does seem that they do want to focus on education in some kind of way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, to be honest, they should have already.
Yeah.
We've already had enough time. But I mean, now that if there's a certain budget or whatever needs to be allocated to that, I think that's great, because public education is huge. And I feel like getting the law enforcement more educated is a way for them to regulate less. And that's where right now, because the bill is dead, there is time to kind of work on that, to help find ways to educate them, whether it's through a program or a talk, or if any of the law enforcement wants to come on to Everyone Knows You're High.
No, they're not allowed.
Okay.
No. I don't feel police officers should be lobbying for the passing or not passing of laws. Your job is enforce the law. Shut the fuck up
High
and just
five.
enforce it.
High five.
Yeah.
You shouldn't even be getting paid to talk to senators. Shut up and just go to your car and drive around and give people tickets if that's what you got to do.
Answer
But
the call.
they shouldn't be
That's true.
lobbying, because you know what I mean. That's wrong. They're the enforcement side of law enforcement, not the let's get laws passed and get things included or not included. It's fucking bullshit.
Because there is a hidden agenda behind that, right? There is.
Well, yeah, because we all know they make money off of the
Well, it's like
war on drugs.
It's like, oh, what do? You guys not doing nothing? It's like, no, we actually made all these fucking arrests. Thank you very much, cannabis. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like
they do more harm than good.
it proves that their budget, right? It fucking, you can't argue the budget if they're showing results. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Fuck that, man.
Yeah, but it's like, what is the validity of those results depending on who you ask? Are those good crime statistics or bad? Are you just locking up innocent people for a plant, or are you like doing a good job?
And that's why I don't trust the politicians, because they look at numbers, right? And it's like, oh, here's HPD's numbers of convictions. Like, bruh, it's situation
Yeah.
based.
Well, and with the decrim, because we got the decrim of the 3 grams, like 2-3 years ago. So since then, arrests went from like 800 a year to like 160. And usually it's like an add-on charge, is what I've heard. I mean,
oh yeah,
like, okay, you were
Seat
doing
belt
some
and
other
weed.
shit and weed. Not that people should be getting in trouble, for small amounts of weed. So hopefully with the decrim bill, because it expands it to 2 ounces.
oh word.
Yeah, and it's still living. It's one of the ones that's still alive.
That's a
It
practical
would be a
amount.
ticket, right? So it'd be a ticket. So if you had
They-
over 2 ounces, you would get a ticket.
Did they take your weed away?
No,
I don't think
shouldn't
so.
take away your weed, right?
I don't know.
I mean, if you're driving an excessive amount over the speed limit and you get pulled over, they will take your car away.
Oh, that's a good question.
Maybe I'm sure there's like a certain poundage maybe you hit, and then you're like,
That's intent to distribute already at that point.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, it's up to again.
I
It's
guess
up to the law
it's what
enforcement
they write-
officers,
Or
right?
it's what they write into the law too. You know what I mean? If
It
they
is.
put that in there.
Well, if you get a dick cop, he'll fucking like he'll hem you up for that. You get a cool cop,
Yeah.
like, bro, just go home. Right?
Yeah.
And that's what's
Beat it.
beautiful about Hawaii, though.
Yeah.
Hawaii, and that's why I gotta say what's up to the cops too, because like
I wasn't
Hawaii's-
talking about those cops. I was talking about the ones that lobby
Yeah,
for
yeah.
laws.
Yeah,
But
They
I'm
need to
just
shut
gonna
up.
like throwing a little positive connotation in there. That cops are. There's some good ones out there.
Yeah, my family's all. I have a bunch of cop family, and I have cop friends too. I know.
I wasn't talking about the good ones. I wasn't. I love HPD and Maui PD and Kauai PD, all the PD.
And that's why we gotta kind of respect them a little more in Hawaii
Yeah,
because
for
we have
sure.
a lot more
There's a lot
family
of stuff going on.
that's police
true.
officers. So
Yeah.
I tend to try and respect them and follow the law as much as possible
sure.
because like they're just doing their fucking jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't even want to bust you for fucking weed. You get
At
that
all.
dick cop, they're like, ooh, I smell weed. Like, man, fuck you, dude. Go home, bruh. Go
It's
behind
hard.
a desk.
It's hard to say fuck the police when all the police are from where you're from and
That-
like
that's what I'm
family
saying.
members and like
They're like, defund the police. I'm like, I can't
Hawaii
get around
never
that.
had that.
You know?
Yeah.
Like that defund the police
maybe
movement.
restructure the police.
yeah, I like restructure.
like accountability for the
Yeah.
police.
Accountability. Like if they're gonna do some wild shit,
Yeah, which
Go
we've
to jail.
seen,
Actually,
right?
9 times out
We've
of 10,
seen
they
some.
probably need
Yeah.
more funding
Right.
for
Yeah.
training,
Tra-
for
so-
recruitment.
so training and education. So I think that's where, like, for cannabis, right? Like, not everyone that you smell is high, right? Some people feel that it's one way for them to have balance, right? So, and this is where, like, the training with the law enforcement to get them up to speed, that it's not a certain blood limit, it's nothing of that sort, right? That's what's going to really help them to understand that everybody is different, and that's where, like, we don't need the extra tax money going to regulate people that use cannabis, right? We do need them to understand, though, that if you can't operate heavy machinery and you're slurring, period. It doesn't matter if you had an orange or if you had coffee. If you just can't operate, then I understand, right? So I think that way we can condense that and save our tax money and make that go to better things like the social equity program, right? Really helping the community get back. And so because we're still really still premature because it's already dead right now, right? We still have more time to build it in a better way that's more equitable and it serves more of the community, right? And it has more of that I think levels that different people can come in at right? Because when I hear some lobbyists and they say, oh well, it's too expensive, nobody's been able to get in and everyone's gonna fail, and it's like, well, A, there shouldn't be gatekeeping, and B, it's already been going on for how many years already, right? They're just not a name or sticker or brand, but these are people who have a product that helps people, right? And however that gets out, right? It's weird though, because I always think of like the movie Medicine Man with Sean Connery, and how he was in this jungle and he found the cure for cancer with some ants and sugar. Well, I almost feel that there's a certain maybe cannabinoid or terpene profile that could really unlock something, in someone's brain that could really help them. And I feel like this is where I know it's scary with this whole big company, corporation, business kind of idea and thing. But at the same time, I think like Nike needs Jordan or LeBron or Kobe the same way that like a medical professional might need the farmer to really investigate and pheno hunt and do the work because maybe they can't do that, right? And so it's kind of a way that people work together, and the overall outcome is helping more people to achieve something that
and
maybe that we've experienced.
And finding like refined medicine for specific traits or specific things that help. You know what I mean? I know there kind of already is that certain strains help certain things, but like really dialing it in where it's like
That's a tight rope too.
what?
Because manufacturing and like the entourage effect of the plant, that needs to be intact, right? So when you start isolating, now you're getting into the pharmaceutical, right? So there's got to be a level of pureness behind it.
And I didn't mean like in that sense. I meant like the RSO kind of like
Oh, yeah, yeah.
concentrated
Oh, okay, okay, I
versions
see what
of
you
it.
mean.
Yeah. Not
yeah,
like,
I'm saying like
I didn't
isolating
mean
certain
like- no,
things
yeah,
might
yeah.
not be.
because then you end up with things like Marinol, and it's just fucking
That's
big
where I was
pharma
getting
trying to
at.
fucking just
Right.
Right? It's
tell you it's
synthetic.
illegal, but fucking make their own.
Yeah.
No medical benefits, but we're trying to make some fake one.
Right?
Right. What the
Yeah.
fuck is that? You know, like it's right there in front of us. Like,
True.
question
Right
your
there in front of
government,
us.
dude. Question it.
Yeah, but Kalei, you mentioned about like not trusting them, and I say them as like
The
politicians
Illuminati.
and lawmakers, things like that. And I'd say that we have to be skeptical of it all, period, right? Because they haven't really served us, and so they have to kind of prove their worth. And there are pockets and people that are really like trying to come out and speak for the people, which is great, and we'd love to see that, and we need to support that because we need to do our own plugging in. We need to plug in our own people, right, to get places so that we can affect more of the change. And I feel like this is kind of new to some of us because like we don't like politics, we don't like all the fine print, we don't like all this extra stuff, and it sucks because we almost need to pay attention to some of it at least if we want to have things that are important to us in there, right? And that's what's good though, is that like we can jump in at any time, right? Like anybody can say anything and push it up to the channels because the platform is really open, right? The legislative process, it is there for people to speak their mind. You don't even have to read the bill. You just like hear about it, you can just speak it, right? And that's
Right.
kind of like they have to accept it. It's on record, it's on file. Whether they understand it or not, like, who knows, right? But
Right.
that's the next step is now they hopefully, see the wave of people saying things and they start to understand like, all right, well, this is what the community is saying, right? Because I think, and I've seen this in this last session, where some people are trying to say something, but it's really the underlying tone that the ledge has to understand what they're speaking. Because it kind of sounds like you guys are all for the same thing, but it's like, but you don't like this part and you don't like this part, but then, you're saying yes here, but you're saying, so it gets confusing on all levels. But, it's the politician's job to see through the simple black and white of a support or opposition. Right, and when they read that fine print, they really understand. Like, all right, well, this is why the person is in support, because it almost sounds sometimes the same, right? In a support comment and opposition, when you read the text, it almost sounds like they're saying the same thing, right? So the ledge just has to like, all right, well, how do we figure this out, right? Because it's not just a tally thing, right? For when the community puts in comment, so it's a little bit different that way.
And, I look at it like, okay, let's look at a corrupt politician, and economically. Like we
It'd
could,
be easier to try to find not corrupt ones.
well, no, I'm like playing it in my head, right? Like if I was to talk to a corrupt politician and try to make it business oriented to where, like, yeah, dude, you'll be making money if you were to do it like this, and which wouldn't be conventional to where he's getting paid through the big, special interests. So it's like, man, fuck these special interests. You could be still making the same kind of cheese, but pro cannabis, and like, what would make them so inclined to be like, nah, fuck that, I'm gonna go this way. You know what I mean? Like,
Billions.
yeah, but I mean, you
Because
could,
if they're corrupt, they're on the take somewhere, and they're probably making a ton of money if they're corrupt.
and
so.
I guess because like they're already making it, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, why should I gamble when I'm already making it?
Yeah,
Weird.
it is weird.
Yeah.
Who are the politicians that actually seem to be like digesting it? Because I'm sure there are some that are just like their mind's made up, they don't want to hear it, and they don't really fucking.
Yeah, let's focus on
in-
the politicians
in either
who care.
in
you know?
either direction. Yeah, like sometimes it's like talking to a wall with these people. But
Fuck, I
like,
hate that
who are the ones that when you've observed them hearing testimony or when you've talked to them, like actually seem receptive and I mean, it's going to be a challenge to change their minds from either point, but like, who are the ones that are actually like at least open, or just open to like hearing the people? Because some of them, they just seem shut off.
Or had good morals, like their direction and their decision-making skills, or even like observation on the two sides. We're headed in the right direction, right? You know, like which politician had the right morals, right? And how they looked at both sides.
Well, I think it's really interesting because this session we really got to see it like put in front, and you really got to see where people stand, because there was a 25 to 23 House vote on it, right? And it seems that the Senate, it seems they're a little bit more okay with it. It's the trouble in the House.
Mm-hmm.
And from there's a list of 25. It's surprising actually where the support comes from.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's good that we still have this back and forth, because it does need to be refined, right? And there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. However, I think there was one rep who says, "Oh well, we can't go forward based on us being unsure." And I kind of think that's the exact thing that we do with politicians. We're unsure of you. You guys say all this stuff, but once you get in, like, the only way for us to know you're sure is you actually got to produce.
Fuck yeah.
But isn't that a wise decision when that's been the run-of-the-mill of politics? Is just, we don't know, just pass it. To actually be like, wait a minute, guys, we're unsure of this. We should stop and like.
But why for
actually
cannabis when all the statistics back up cannabis?
But I think when you look, the reasons for opposition were so diverse on this that it was interesting, because I was interested it too. Like, who is opposing and why?
Right.
So lots of medical, and they were all a lot of psychiatry for young men, for people with potentially with psychosis. I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Then the police were very much, they were like, we can't support this. We don't have the staff. We're down 20%. You're going to because they wanted to make a special task force that was for law enforcement just for cannabis, right? So they would have taken police from another area and put them in this Canada. And so that's why they were coming out so hard, because they were like, yo, number one, we don't want to do this. Number two, it's going to be really expensive. And number three, we don't have the staffing. And of course, they talked a lot about driving.
I agree with they don't have enough staffing and all that stuff. Good. Just take that out. We don't
Right.
need any enforcement. That shouldn't have been in there anyway. You're done.
Yes.
You can
Yeah.
leave now, and then we'll continue without you, because there's no enforcement. There's no special enforcement needed, it seems like.
No, and that was wild. That was one of my biggest beefs with this bill was and if they create this 25-person task force that was also going to have 5 seats in the AG, like, their point is to catch people and prosecute them.
Yeah.
So it's like such bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like, why? And the cops were they were like, yo, we don't want to do it. Like,
yeah.
Like, we don't want to waste our time. We don't want to do it.
And we don't want to waste your time.
And creating a whole...
Just let us
Yeah.
know.
I feel like I should take back my prior comments about the fucking police.
Yeah.
If that was their stance, that's actually, I mean...
The common police officer is practical.
But I wonder if their mentality is, just to kind of help back myself up from earlier, is like, we don't want to do it, we don't have the staffing to do it, but we'll do it. You know what I mean? If it gets passed, we're going to do it.
But
you know what I mean?
But which would suck, because
Right.
they would be being forced into it. And so... And then they have to justify the funding. Like, so you got people who get put on this task force who are pissed off.
Either
they're regulating cannabis, and that's horrible.
And either they over enforce it and just heavy-handed, or they just are lackadaisical and don't do anything, and we're just
Collecting a
wasting money.
paycheck.
Just wasting money.
You know what's crazy? I'm actually personally for cockfighting. I think that's culturally.
Whip it out, bro.
Ah, you motherfucker. It passed, right? Like, it's okay. You won't be a felon if you get caught with roosters in your backyard.
Okay.
So that's cool. I
Yeah.
get it. Why not cannabis? What's the hold up, dog? Like, this shit came, people gave their testimony, they heard, and then squashed. Congratulations on that, by the way, guys. But this cannabis shit's been battling way too long. Way
Oh.
too long.
It's been like literally since the 70s.
Yeah. $25 million for haiku stairs.
Yeah.
Crazy.
All that energy in haiku stairs when it's actually a pro-choice thing. Dude,
What's the dollar
fall.
amount they spend on rescues for getting people down
Right.
from there?
That's
when
the issue is the
it's
rescues.
probably but it's probably
Make it-
look what it's been for the past decade. It's probably nowhere near what they're spending to take it down.
fuck
Just
yeah.
save those fucking people.
Well,
from
and
that.
honestly, no. It should be like, dude, and put a big sign up. If you go up there and you need rescue, that's on your dime.
Yeah, they should
It
just.
usually
yeah.
is though, isn't it? When you go hiking and then you need air
The
rescue.
state
it's not-
pays for it, dude.
State.
That's why they want to take it down because people get up there and they get stuck.
Yeah, but I guess they're saving money in the long run, even though they're spending millions now.
Yeah.
Totally, but I mean, pro-choice, right? Put up
Yeah.
a
That money,
disclaimer.
Make it safe.
Shit.
Yeah.
Pay the money, make it safe.
And maybe spend a little bit of money on a parking lot outside of haiku, keep the residents fucking nice and happy, so
Yep.
people don't take their parking. Do a little public parking in a park someplace, haiku stairs, hike at your own risk. Sacred Falls was one of them, right? They closed it down. People still go to Sacred Falls. Like, I mean, people got buried there,
Right.
and they're still going. Pro-choice, go for it. It's
Yeah.
Hawaii. Fucking send it.
I know it's a popular place because a lot of people know it, but do a lot of people hike the stairs?
I see it every single time I'm going through the
Yeah.
H3.
Yeah, but are you going there like every day?
Nah, no, I'm going there maybe like once a week. I'll say I'll pass through there.
It's pretty frequent.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So there's a lot of people it's enough for the community over generations to be complaining
Right.
over this shit. It's so long.
But I mean, is
man.
it like Palisades Falls where you go there and there's no parking up there for those people either, where it's like that, or is it like
it's
oh,
bad. Haiku got bad, and I believe to get to that spot, you got to kind of go through private residence. And
You
Yeah.
gotta cut through someone's yard or something.
Yeah.
That sucks.
I'd put dog shit everywhere on that path.
Right.
Just like, there you go, guys.
And you can't put booby traps. Booby traps are illegal
They are.
unless you make them obvious, but then they're not fucking booby traps. Like I saw this
Oops, I
video
put a
where,
stick on the
where
ground.
this guy had a fence like this. He had a fence and people were jumping over his fence to cut through his yard. So he put spikes, but like on this side, so you couldn't see it looking over. So you grab it and he got like fined or he got like arrested. I don't know what happened to him, but something bad happened to him because they were hidden. So you can put them where they're sticking straight up and they're visual.
You can
can
put
see
barbed
them.
wire, but you can't
Yep.
put like hidden.
You can't put hidden
weapons.
spikes. Yeah, no booby traps.
Can't put barbed wire in the bushes.
Yeah.
Washington had a pretty cool one where, like, if it's 6 foot, your fence, and they climb over it, it's breaking and entering, so you can get shot.
Oh shit.
But if it's under 6 foot, your fence, it's trespassing.
So you can't shoot them.
Yeah.
Raise
I
the
think,
fence,
like,
raise
if
the fence.
that's kind of a
Everybody
cool...
started putting up 6 foot fences.
Exactly. That's like the standard in some neighborhoods. It's like the HOA tells them to put up a 6 foot fence, like, because it's a clear cut law. If there's anyone breaking into the neighborhood,
They're gonna have to climb that. Yeah.
even if like you get prosecuted, you don't get shot. You get prosecuted, right? It's breaking and entering versus trespassing. So it's a much rougher offense over a 6 foot fence and clear cut decision. This is your repercussions: get shot or get fucking jail time. You know?
Right.
Yeah. That's a cool one. I like that. I use that as an example all the time. Like,
Right.
hey, if you are thinking that hard to jump over my fence,
Yeah.
Yeah, it shows intent, right? You
Yeah.
you could
Yeah.
fall over a 5 foot fence, right? That's why-
yeah, or like you're playing hide and go seek with your friends as a kid or a teenager, and you just jump over a 4 foot fence and hide in the bushes. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
but-
that's someone's lawn. Oh shit!
We probably jumped over
Trespassing.
6 foot fences too.
Fuck yeah, we did, dude.
Shit. Could have got shot, dude.
Bro.
Lucky you live Hawaii, bro.
Right.
And shout out to the cops again, right? How many
Yeah.
times we play hide and go seek in the elementary school, Konoelani, and then the cops show up, and they just give you a talking to, and you
We
go
ran,
home.
bro. Thank God they were all overweight and couldn't catch us.
Yeah, I ran a couple times, but like,
I ran every time.
I was running without fear of a fucking gun going off.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the key. You know?
Yeah.
That's back to the education of cops. We need to educate the police coming in. They had
Yeah.
an incentive, $25,000 incentive for the new recruits. Dude, what the fuck? No, it should. HPD put that out.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
should be like a passionate thing, not a cash thing, right? You're not. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's your job. You're getting. It's like firefighters. They know what they're about to get into. They train extensively to deal with fire and emergencies, like, and they get compensated for it, you know?
Well, I mean, first responders and educators, I do think they need more, especially with the cost of living in the islands in Hawaii,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
there's really no other way currently that we're going to be able to help those situations. And we kind of hate to use like cannabis as a tool, but when you look at it as, what the plant does in healing and how many levels to the healing there is, then it does offer support to people on the front line, right? And I feel like in that way, it creates kind of like a whole circle where we empower our community leaders and we get led better, right? We have better infrastructures, better things to help the community, better resources, right? Better allocations, right? Of where the state's tax money goes, right?
Well, you said it good. Like you said, community leaders, right? And a lot of these guys are weighing the pros and cons. But you come down to a tally mark of the number of people in opposition versus the number of people in support. As a community leader, I would go off the majority, right? Because I represent the people, and majority of the people is for this direction. So, like a clear-cut vote in our community would be something to look at too, right? As a solution, wouldn't you think so?
Well, and there's a lot of actually numbers, which is good and bad, right? The overall like numbers and projections, right, of like how much people it can help. It's not just the local population of, let's say, it's the Star Bulletin poll is like 58%. If you take that on the population of 1.4, that's like 800,000 local residents that per that poll think some type of, and again, like I guess I get very like choosy with my words at this point, because when you mention like recreational, the real vibe is just like it's just for fun, and that doesn't really resonate with like a real mature adult use program. Even the word legalization, I've heard it and seen it before where people really use that word as like, oh, it's a free for all. And so, even the M word, right, what we call the plant, has some bad terms with it. So, we still got to educate like even the media on how to like talk about this in the right way. But it almost takes us like every time someone says something that we don't like, we say it back to them in the right way, and it kind of just keeps taking that amount so that they understand
Modeling
how to address the issue in the plant. And then that's when you start to change the conversation and really direct it in a way that's actually going to help us get on the same page, right? Because now we perceive it differently, which helps to get on the same level of like, yes, this is medicine for all, right? But also, especially in the islands, you have a lot of people that want to protect themselves through an amendment to rights, which can also affect the 329 medical patient card. And so what a lot of other states have seen when they transition to adult use is that a lot of people start to participate because they were just kind of scared about putting a name on something, or whenever they got a card that they would not be able to purchase a firearm or something like that to protect their family or hunt. And so that's actually like one thing, as you said before, Kalei, is like it's kind of like pro-choice. And that's even what's neat about the governor Josh Green is he kind of echoed the same thing about the right to have cannabis is very similar to the right a female has over her reproductive system. And I feel like that was a really neat analogy, because it really does bring this frame of pro-choice. Like, what are the things that are stopping us in that? But also, we want to make it more equitable for sure, because of this whole war on cannabis for ages, right? All the propaganda, all the reefer madness that we're trying to reverse. And that's why it's not going to really happen overnight. It's not going to happen through one or two testimonies. It's going to be a whole community engagement and shift, and it's going to coming from multiple angles, right? Because not just one angle of communication works. You need to just saturate it from all angles, right? Like whether it's social media or like having somebody like spread it through the coconut wireless, right, where they feel it through a family member, and they like things happen differently here, right? It's a lot more close knit, and once you start to I wouldn't say breach as like a really like aggressive term, but maybe like, and collaborate, it sounds too like giving, but like work with, right? We're all part of the community, and it's funny because when when I see and hear like some things at the Capitol, which I've only been exposed to this year, it's like, oh, it's like us versus them. And it's like, well, these people are us because they are part of our community. So, but if we treat them like they're us versus them, there's really no way for us to get through to them because we've already separated ourselves from actually being a part of the solution and change. And I think that's one of the neat things is how the community develops this angle of just how to be more impactful with our community voice.
It's playing right into their game, this division and like, I mean, like we were saying at the beginning, all of us are for freeing the plant. Everybody has their own little ideas and differences on how to do that and what that actually looks like. But the realization that the goal is to free it and like collaborating, working together and doing all that is really the only way to do that. Because you have to be a unified movement with these fucking people. You know what I mean? Otherwise, they look at you and like they don't even have their shit together. We're not gonna listen.
Well, no better community to model the best behavior of how to pass a movement than the cannabis community, right? It's like people, when it comes down to the nitty gritty, we know exactly what we're fighting for is just to free the fucking plant. So it's like there's no question asked. It's just to get everybody on board, everybody to participate in the movement, right?
Well, and what's great about the cannabis community is that we're really considerate because all of us have some type of maybe been affected with stigma or trauma or something related to the plant, right? And that's where like I think that's where we all identify, and that's what's kind of like our bond is that it sucks. It's kind of like a trauma bond, but it's it's kind of like we're on this new age of really like we talked about the age of how we address our youth and our children, right? It's a little bit differently a decade later, right? So that's where now we're really opening up the conversations, and I feel like we're in the information age, so it's always good to have more information, right? Because people can actually form their own perspective on these issues and then chime in wherever they think that they feel it's important for them to speak on, and that's what's probably good about this whole like freedom process, right? Is that we really have the ability and opportunity to really do or say what we want, right? Because really in testimony you can actually like type in whatever you want, like you could say whatever you want. I've seen and read some things that are really like wow.
Do you think once they reach that first F-bomb they like continue reading or they just stop? It's like fuck, throw this one away.
Would you read too?
I don't know.
I mean, think about all the other things you got going on.
I mean, I'm not in their position, so from my perspective, I want to read those. Those are the fun ones.
I'd be like,
you know what I mean?
And that's where we have like Instagram comments.
Maybe
right?
These sadistic people, they're like, let's read how bad these people are suffering, and I'm still gonna vote. You know what I mean?
If you
Whatever.
go through Instagram comments on a lot of these things, you get a lot of like the popcorn, right? Like, oh my god, right? But in testimony, I mean, I wish this was the only issue they had. It'd been great, right? But they have probably like, I don't know, 1,000 other bills and things that they're probably not even reading through.
Yeah.
So like, you kind of gotta not exactly present it to them, but you have to give them the kind of like the cliff notes of what you think is important, and even more so if you like write it in a way where they can adopt it. And I feel like not many of us are great at that. I've seen some people do better than others, but really if you make it that easy, it's a lot easier for them to consider whatever you're trying to say.
They should allow for like audio submissions where same website where you type in your testimony, they just have a little button you hit and it records. It can record a voice memo.
Imagine the curse words that would come out of there.
Do the Zoom and just record your stuff and just play your part when they call your name.
Oh, that's a good idea too. That's pretty smart.
You can play them like a video.
You know what I mean? People get nervous. You could see it on when people testify to some of them. They get shaky, and they might be not hitting everything they wanted to in the moment just because it's
you're on like a
intimidating.
Go.
It's intimidating. You're standing in front of a panel of
so much
authority figures,
too,
right? And they're all staring you down, and then you have like the weight of everybody because they're supporting you. Like, I can imagine that can be pretty intimidating.
That's why I give it to Jay too. Like Jay, he shows up and he gives his testimony, regardless of like what you think. Like, he'll just show up and he'll do his thing. So, shout out to him. He believes in the movement and he just follows it, man. Oh no.
You're talking about Jay from Kawailua?
Yes,
Yep.
yes. Yeah. Shout out to him, man. I mean, like, regardless what you think of the guy, he fucking he does it. He's there,
Yep.
and he's doing the legwork as well. Yeah, it may be, like I said, everybody got their differences, but you got to respect the guy, dude. He's doing his thing.
Anyone that's on the front line of cannabis, you got to respect, because there's,
Yeah.
again, still a lot of stigma around it, right? I mean, just even speaking on it, like, it's tough. Because even though it seems that it's widely accepted, majority accepted in the community, the people who aren't accepting still got a lot of voice. Like, they make you feel bad, right? And so not everyone can really, like, just come out and openly talk about it so freely. And maybe one day there will be a shift, right? And that's going to be a long process, but it's going to need the education. It's going to need the community engagement. It's going to need just this overall, like, blanket of just people being engaged and involved in many different ways, because that's going to ultimately affect the overall outcome that we want to see, right? Because if we really sit back and do nothing, then it's really like we're left with what we have. And even if we do a little bit, right, and kind of like just help one more person, right? And I think along the way you kind of find a lot of different avenues of support that you might not realize you have. And to your other question, Eric, like, which politicians or legislators are for it? Again, I think it's really neat to see this session. There are a lot more that we maybe didn't expect that were, really for it. And even if this current bill was like 300 something pages, it felt like, yeah, they're trying to throw everything at it to try to see how far it's going to get. But now we know what is needed to be adjusted and cut out, and what needs to be, really reviewed, right? And that's what's good, is that we're under a learning process, and the community definitely can say what they feel is important, right? And I think everyone's going to be considered, because someone told me the other day, it was like, well, yeah, whatever this 5-person people, even if it's like suggested by the governor or the AG or whoever it is, like, we don't know who that is, and yeah, we don't, but we do know that they have to serve the community. And if they don't do a good job, they're not going to serve the community. So if they just go and do whatever the hell they want, it might not serve the community. So how are they going to be efficient at their duty or job, right? And they're going to be, especially in this day and age, the internet is undefeated. There's going to be a record of this somewhere, somehow, right? So you can't really hide from it anymore. I mean, there's some really good, juicy stuff. If you go back to the, I think it was like the Hawaii Cannabis Alliance or something like that. What is the one that was really early on?
Yes. Hawaii Cannabis Alliance.
Is that one of them? There was one that was like, HDA, sorry, Hawaii Dispensary Alliance. And if you go back to some of their like newsletters, you see some of the interviews they did with people that got licenses or didn't get licenses, who now have licenses. And I mean, it gets really interesting as you keep following it. But what does that do to affect the current situation and ledge and all that, right? Is just getting people involved and engaged, and just finding a way to communicate what is important, to each of these different people, right, that are involved in the cannabis community at whatever level, because everybody is considered and should be included.
So you're saying that there's still the decrim bill that's up for passing or no passing?
So the things that are alive is the no sunset for caregivers, so allows, and then everybody can have 10 people per site, so 100 plants. Nobody's
Those are the two that are still.
So no, that's
have legs.
so the decrim, that one, and then the pilot program for expungement. So it's a rollout of it's not state initiated, right? The person still has to ask for it.
I don't know all the details, but
I think it's the person has to,
appeal or do some sort of.
They would have to submit something but there would be, so that's the expungement bill. So those are the three So it's interesting because, like, I feel like what really came out of this session was a lot of decrim stuff, which is always good.
Just still hopeful.
Decriminalizing cannabis is freeing the plant. You know,
That's
like
a big step forward.
Yeah, so like having this decrim still rolling and going is huge. Having this ability to have larger plots safely,
Yes.
you know, and not worry about interference, you know, is another, like, you know, these are all like wins for the community,
Yes.
especially for people who, you know, because like I said, when we saw the amount of people that are growing collectively here, because the Department of Health, they put it out in testimony, right? So 1,900 people have 2 to 5, and then the other 1,000 have 10 plus. But it's not 1,000 sites; it's 1,000 people that are
Yes.
on those lists.
Collectives.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
it's in the hundreds, we could say safely, right? That, like the farms that are up and the.
So there's like 1,900 small collectives in our
oh,
state
oh shit!
A lot.
That's a lot.
that are 2 to 5 people.
But that's an interesting number because like now we talk about horizontal, right?
Yeah.
And you got all these people that are building a resume essentially and getting experience and growing.
Yeah.
So accessibility wouldn't be the thing, you
Could
know.
those,
I'm
go
sorry?
ahead. No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, accessibility wouldn't be the thing. Like we could find the people to horizontally do this shit. But
They're already doing it.
They're already doing it,
Yeah.
and now they're safe.
Yeah.
Like now there's not, because, you know, there's never been that safety because hasn't been a limit. Jason is right.
Right.
There is not a limit. He was not breaking the law.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, he just
Right.
But he's
Yeah.
the only one, right? You
Right.
know, a majority.
He's the outlier.
There's like I think there might be 3 or 4 that are, you know, have over 100, but a majority of them are 2 to 5 and under 10.
And you know, Jay's gonna go down in Hawaii's cannabis history as a frontiersman,
Hell
like
yeah.
able to, you know, like a fucking badass, because he put his neck out there where no one
For
would.
sure. No.
And he put a face to that neck.
Yeah,
and
he
that's people. That's a fucking no, you know. Like, but he did it, and it's still there. The farm's still there, you know. And so,
Yeah.
like, kudos to him for doing that. And he's gonna be a history figure, man. It's gonna be interesting.
Well, and I like he did it within the scope of what the rules gave
Yeah,
him.
he's-
So
he's
you know,
obeying the
like,
rules.
That's what's like
Like,
so.
You're
odd.
really gonna take me to jail or something? Like, you didn't have the proper literature for it? Come on,
Right, I mean
Yeah.
that's kind of like with this 2018 hemp farm bill, right? The same thing
Yeah.
has happened, right? It's like, well, we're playing within these rules. This is what you guys allowed us to do, and this is our interpretation of it. And so that's where, with that whole, and I would almost call it a sandwich bill because, you know, again, like nobody wants the caregivers to end, right? So the repealing of the sunset is something that definitely like most people would understand to support. But also the limit, right? That limit, nobody was supporting of it, right? And I think the way that we phrased it is that any reduction in patient count is a reduction in patient rights, right? Just kind of like plain and simple. Before we get into like what number, because I did hear one of the ledge guys ask, oh, so what number is a good number? I mean, that's a loaded question. There is no number is a good number
Yeah.
because you already said that there was unlimited, right? So why are we going back on that? Because when you start to take away patients' rights, that's when you start to like really mess with people.
That's pretty cool. That's a slick one that you caught. You know, like, oh wait, why are we talking about going backwards? Like, this is supposed to be
Yeah.
progressive. Like,
But it was already in the bill to next year to go down to 5. And so they were this bill was trying to make it go into be enacted this year. And so it was like kind of, okay, if we can't, you know, it's going to get decreased. 10 is better than 5.
Right.
But it was going to go to 5 next year anyways. That was part of the original dispensary
This
bill.
would supersede.
Well, and the reason
Yes.
why is because DOH cannot handle. They said it in their testimony. It's like, oh, we cannot handle.
Yeah.
Pretty much, it's like, all right, well, why are you doing it then? You cannot handle, right? Like keep it moving, move on, right? Or something
And it
like
got
that.
kind of dropped on their laps too, right? This whole like
Yeah.
emergence of the program. They're
Absolutely.
kind of like, oh fuck, and
But-
they got caught with their pants down.
Well, that's their
essentially.
job to use their resources and reach out to other states that do it and be like, yo, how the fuck do you do it? We got to start doing it.
Or
Always.
reach out to the
Well, that's what
community.
they
Whereas
did.
when has
Or
DOH came out and says, you know what, we're going to
Yeah.
hold a
Never.
community event, and you know what, we want to hear from the local caregivers and farmers. They haven't, right?
They've done it though. They've had focus groups with them for sure. DOH, yeah,
With like farmers and stuff.
yeah. They and with farmers and with healthcare providers. But I agree, they're not like. But you know, in their defense too, they also did. Michelle joined CANRA, which is like a national regulating thing. I you know, good, bad, or whatever. You know.
Oh man, that's
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
a lot. It's not just like cut and dry simple, right?
that's why it's so crazy how much circles we're going through. Like, you know, it's like, yeah, you guys are reading the literature because it's so. What can I benefit from this? How can I get out of this and capitalize the most on this opportunity, right? That's kind of where they're at right now. And that's why they're reading the fine print, because if it was like up to the community, psh, you know, go for it. Let's step
Right.
the fuck back. You know, let's not allocate resources from HPD to enforce something we don't give a fuck about.
Yeah, no
So
need.
Yeah. And they're, I mean, dude, I can imagine. They're just like, we don't want to.
Good. Yeah, like we don't want you. That's like perfect. That's actually what I would like to
They're
hear.
like, we don't want to. We
Yeah.
don't have staffing, and you know, we'd rot your brain.
the fucking scrambled egg on a skillet.
What about what Josh Green said when he was talking about laxing the
Yeah.
medical
so-
card requirements or doing that sort of thing to like just
Well, he also
essentially-
said fucking he's gonna stop the fucking foreign investors from coming in.
But
Yeah.
I was sus about that. Another one for you, young crowd, because
cool dad.
he was basically essentially making it adult use. But you know, every adult just needs to just get a medical card, and it
Yeah.
could be for any ailment. But that still only puts money in the hands of the dispensaries that exist now.
Yeah.
And then even harder, they're gonna lobby for not making future adult use
Yeah.
with any kind of whatever is written. It's just not gonna happen.
You know, having the shop, I got a pretty cool data that came through the doors, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the shit, and like there'd be like the grandson coming in buying grow supplies, and he's a caregiver for his grandpa who has an ailment that, he has an ailment that he seeks through cannabis, right?
Yeah.
So like, that's what I see. I see that like the card is a justification for black market in some sense, where people are like, no, I want my card because I'm gonna grab weed for my grandson, you know, or like I have my card so I don't get busted having
Yeah.
weed on me. You know, I can see that. So like the whole funneled into the dispensaries, kind of subjective.
No, yeah, and I agree. But the thing is, it doesn't make it. I mean, I guess couple that with decrim, I guess that could still, the black market is kind of still. But I think I heard somebody say it, and I don't know who it was or what the point he was trying to make was that like decrim is like the legacy growers are never gonna go away. That market is always gonna exist, even in states that have adult use. It still exists because it's cheaper. A lot of times, it's still more accessible than going to a dispensary and doing all that shit. So, like, they need to just get over that fact already and just make decisions based, like, that's still going to happen. But what can we do that's the right thing with...
Yeah.
Reality
with
is
the-
black market lives forever.
Yeah. It never dies. It, you know,
It
that's
was
why we
around.
have so much good cannabis strains and chemo bars. Without the
Exactly.
black market, that's what tripped. Yeah, I have to say one thing. I was tripped out by so many people who support cannabis, the commercialization coming up and talking about the black market and how we need to legalize weed so people don't have to go to the black market.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, what?
That's not the point they should be trying to make. Like, let that one go. and focus on like
Moving on.
a better argument.
Yeah.
There's better arguments to be made than that.
I was blown away by that because I was like, wait, what? All you guys have legacy strains, so you have criminals.
Yeah, fuck you, hypocrites.
Yeah, no, legit.
It's crazy because you look back on history again in weed, right? Like a lot of weed growing up was black market weed. I mean, all of it, right?
All of it was.
All of it was.
Right. So
Until
now
2000.
exactly. So now we hit the statistics of like weed is safe,
Yeah.
and all that data was pretty much taken from when weed was still illegal, right? That's where all of our shit. We're smokers when weed was illegal. So like we're
Still
living.
here.
We're still fucking here. You know what I mean? So like.
Yeah.
That's even more evidence to show. Now we're doing this shit in a safe way. There's, mold regulations, heavy metal regulations. Now, yeah, let's go for it. What the fuck are you guys waiting for? That's what kind of I'm scratching my head. Like, why are you guys so focused on this one thing when there's so much other things to be worried about? Like,
Yeah.
we don't need to do this shit.
I don't think there's been a war on anything else. Like there's been a war on cannabis.
Nope.
Like I feel like
Yeah.
through the many years of the propaganda and the people really not understanding, and people get mad or agitated with things they don't understand, and so you kind of got to keep saturating them with the information and education from different angles. I've seen some really cool I don't know if you guys seen it. It's like the three cops smoking weed for the first time. The three grandmas smoking weed for the first time. Yeah, those are really like
Kids smoking with their parents for the first time.
yeah, it's like
Those are cool.
wow. Those are really cutting edge, right?
Profound shit.
Yeah.
The rabbi, the
Yeah.
imam, and the priest, I think it was.
That's like a joke entry right there.
I think it
Rabbi, imam, and a priest.
Smoke weed for the first time. And then they give them munchies, and they're asking them interview questions. It's
Yeah, it's a good one.
The grandma's one was so funny.
Yeah.
There's the grandma's one. There's like an Indian version one too.
Oh yeah.
Like there's like Indian ladies doing it.
Uh-huh.
It was really fantastic to see their first encounter.
yeah.
Especially at an older age, right? They finally came around. It's like, let me try this experience. I heard so much about it. Wow, this isn't that bad, right? I don't feel like it triggered something or something,
Mhm.
right? So I think that's good to see that it maybe not everybody likes it, and that's fine, right? But there's some people that do enjoy it,
Yeah.
do benefit
It's not.
from it.
It's not for everybody, and nobody's trying to push it on everybody, saying you have to do this. It's just
Just don't hate me for doing it.
we just want our freedom.
don't criminalize
And
us.
I remember seeing one of those, and the guy started crying because he realized that he was so oppressive over weed that when he was actually stoned, this ain't that bad, and he felt like an asshole. He felt bad for feeling this way for so long, and what else am I wrong about in my life? What else have I taken for granted? And I thought with this preconceived notion that it's gonna be this way, but in actuality, it's not. It's fucking crazy.
It's heavy.
Thank you, cannabis,
Thank you.
bro. I remember as a kid and getting stoned, listening to music, and I was like, dude, music sounds so good.
Right?
Wow, it's a vibration. It's in my body, and there's nothing harmful about that. I'm not doing nothing wrong. I'm just sitting here and appreciating something that I would take for granted. It's diving into whatever I'm hearing in such specific ways. And the drums, you can hear the bass, you can hear the guitar, everything's in there, and you're fully immersed in what you're doing. And there's nothing that does that for you in such a safe manner, So fuck, man. Shout out to cannabis again.
Right?
We all know this. That's why we're all fighting so hard for it,
The 3335. That's the number, yeah. The one that didn't.
Yeah.
Are they gonna revisit it and try to redo it next session, or is when is the timeline for that, or are they just gonna be
I
over
think
it?
I heard so Tarnis was one of them that introduced it,
Mm-hmm.
and I did hear him kind of mention about that's the
The plan.
idea is, like to redo it, work it, because not all of it sucks. Just some of it sucks, right? But it was really weird because I don't know really many other bills that has been written by an attorney general for cannabis, so that's kind of odd. We definitely don't like law enforcement like having their hand in it, but it's like, well, we have to compromise in a way so that we can get to the next level, so that they understand like what they're doing. Because where is it going to start? Is it the chicken or the egg? So education is a huge part, and that's where like hopefully like from now till then there's still education that happens so that they revamp it. Says, yeah, we don't need to have all this law enforcement or have all this tax money go to regulation, right? That would be key and ideal. So that hopefully like that's where some of that is focused like right now to prep for that, to get them like, hey, yeah, like you guys don't need that, right? So if more people kind of state that same thing, that they don't need that, then maybe it'll be like, yeah, we don't need that.
Yeah.
Right.
And is that introduced at a specific legislative time, or is that like once a year, or is that like maybe in a few months, or how does that work?
Yeah, so usually people start working on it, like session ends May, right?
Sure.
Like, yeah, it's ending soon. They're off. People usually start working in the fall, and everything is introduced in January.
At the beginning of the...
Yeah, but we have a really short session, right? Because it's like January basically to May.
Yeah.
And there's...
Wow.
Yeah, it's super short.
That's crazy. That's... What are they doing? I mean, I know they're probably working on bills and shit.
Yeah, they're
trying
working on
they're trying to
bills.
extend it though. I did hear there was a bill that tried to address even that. They had to make a bill to address even like how much they work on.
Longer
things.
they gotta work.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's
They were
it's
like,
kind
no.
of,
No. 5 months is good. It's fucking shorter than teachers.
Bro, you get to drink in office. What the fuck, man? Come on.
Right?
See, there's
Wait,
a
they're
lot
allowed to
of
drink in
bills.
the office?
Dude.
I'm sure they
Yeah.
meant for like company celebrations.
Shout out
and
to Party Animal Senator
When they-
Favela.
when they
Right?
pass,
Fuck you, dude.
when an oppressive
Fucking
bill
asshole.
gets passed, they can pop over champagne or something. But it's not like they can just keep a bottle of vodka in their drawer and drink through
I
the
hope
day,
not.
right? That's not what that means, right?
You can
No.
drink on the job, right?
Yeah, but no.
No. They just can drink at the Capitol.
Right.
Well, even that's bad. That's kind of
No,
like
no.
drink.
No,
Yeah.
well,
Dude, why
But
would
that
you
doesn't
drink
mean-
at the Capitol,
But that doesn't
though?
mean like a senator can have a bottle of vodka. You know, that's what I said. They passed the bill and they're celebrating, so they pop some champagne and like celebrate the passing of adult use cannabis or whatever.
You really think it fucking stops there, dude? You really think it
You really
stops?
think these motherfuckers aren't drinking on the job already?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That set some structure, like
They
have
did it.
some accountability, lead by example, right? And he says no fucking fruit trees. Get out of here, bro.
Yeah.
Liability. Come on.
That
dude.
was lame.
That was.
Eva
like
Beach. What you doing, bro?
Uncle-
Get
Just
this
do
guy
it
out of
anyway.
there.
Just plant
Fuck.
those things. They won't know what it is till it's too late.
Right?
Dude, you mean to tell me you got a shit ton of African tulips on the H2 going down
Yeah.
with no guardrail in the median, right?
Yep.
So like, let's hit an African tulip or let's hit a papaya tree. What do you want to fucking do? You know, like, bro, come on.
Well,
That's
maybe
a
not
stu-
papaya trees in the median center medians, but like on the edges, so people don't have to cross streets. to
No,
get
no.
to it.
So like, you know, you're coming down the H2 from like Schofield, right? You're coming down. You look at on your left in the median where they usually the cops speed trap you.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of African tulip trees. Remember the monkey piss tree in
No,
fucking
yeah.
Yeah. Hit that going 60. Your car's done. You're fucking disintegrated. That's a sturdy tree.
Mm-hmm.
Put papaya trees. I mean, fruit trees, right? There's more likelihood that there's less
If I think-
casualty that
Just
Senator Favela is talking about.
Just to play devil's advocate, I think their concern is people trying to get the fruit from the median on the freeway. That creates a
Well,
hazard for that.
I don't know. I think like
Unless the cop's gonna be grabbing them while they're trying to speed trap you. Hey, give this fucker one pull and grab some papaya.
no. I
dickhead.
mean like that's just an example of he says what he was saying, right? Like trying to call out the excuse. So like, oh yeah, you're pissed because it's a liability and it's going to be a lawsuit for people hitting trees. And like that's exactly what he used as a verbatim, right?
We're
So-
just all.
Shit's all over the place.
I know.
I lost track. That's a poor fucking excuse.
yeah.
You
I mean, they
call
got a lot of
bullshit.
fucking double standards and things that don't necessarily make sense and contradict themselves. But
So leave cannabis alone. What the fuck is wrong with you guys?
true.
Simple as that. Simple. From the farmers coming forward.
Right.
This is I speak for everybody. Fuck you, go home.
Good
agree
night.
with that.
Leave us
And we're
alone.
done.
Right?
Leave us alone, dude. Fuck.
No, legit. Like, fuck. It's been enough already.
The most noblest of professions, other than being a healthcare professional, is being a farmer, right? I think
I
being a
agree.
farmer is a healthcare professional in
No,
some sort of
100%.
degree. So it's like to do this to them, like, man, come on now. It's
Come
fucking
on.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I like the, with Quiet Farm Planning, I think he had the best quote. There shouldn't be any limits on growing food and medicine.
Right.
Nope.
You should only be limited by like what property you have. Like you should be
Right.
able to grow every inch of it,
Totally.
whatever you want.
Whatever you want.
That's the thing where it's like
Yeah.
cannabis should be like this or like that. It should just be like a fucking tomato.
Exactly.
Like that's the legal limit or whatever the legal status it should hold.
Bro, if you grow fucking good tomatoes, I can
Cilantro.
buy tomatoes off of you.
Right?
If you grow super good tomatoes, I'll buy them off of you.
Yeah, and
right?
if I know like I don't know
May,
what the fuck
May
he's
has
putting
held
in
some
his,
really nice tomatoes.
Right.
but it's like right? Like I don't know what this fuck is putting in his tomatoes. I heard he uses XYZ. That's
Yeah.
not good. Like stay away from that guy. Like
Freedom of choice.
yeah, if people figure it out.
Wow. It's crazy. It's crazy. This is nuts. Over a fucking plant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it should just be like a tomato, like a basil. Nobody cares. Like
Right.
you make pesto. You can get it at a restaurant.
Yep.
You
grow
can
it
get
yourself.
yeah, you can grow it yourself easily, and nobody steals your basil plant out of
Yeah.
your yard because nobody cares. That's how it really
Exactly.
should be.
Because nobody would care, and then it would just be like fucking no big deal. So nobody would try to steal it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's the main thing too. Like changing that stigma. Like
Wait,
going
I'm
back
just
to the fucking education part of it, right? Like when is that stigma gonna change for these guys? Like the law enforcement who want to lobby. Like at some point in time, dude, it's like that's gonna make it so that your paychecks get signed and everything. So why are you going in this direction? And there's a peaceful outcome. It doesn't have to be like, oh, prosecution is gonna be our source of income. Like there's a lot of things that you could throw even in law enforcement's hands for them to make money outside of prosecution.
100%.
Yeah.
It's coming. One day the federal government's going to wake up and be like, we were wrong. Just go.
Right.
Up to you, states. And the states who already have shit in place are going to be like, cool, we got it.
I
But
wish that was the case. I
Yeah.
wish they'd be like, hey, you know what, fucking, we're good with it. Take it from here, guys. And we got this. Step away.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think we'll get Schedule 3. But it needs to be descheduled. Like keeping it in a schedule is fucking ridiculous. It's yeah.
It's unreal. It's unreal. I think because like it's a
Old science.
smokable,
Yeah.
like you can't cross into that fucking zero schedule because it's a smokable. But like,
Are there no other medicines you smoke?
that's a good question, dude.
I don't think I've ever smoked a medicine in my life
You
other than
you use atomizers
You
to take like
inhale.
but that's a
albuterol.
nebulizer and
Yeah,
it's
nebulizer.
So and it's like it's a different, it's not a smoke.
It's vapor.
It's like a powder.
Ah.
Usually it's a really fine mist powder with so it's a couple things, right? Some of them are fine mist powders, some of them are like liquid
The
with
liquids, yeah.
powders inside. With like the drug suspended inside, right? But I don't think there's any medicine that you smoke.
Equivalent.
Yeah.
That's where the
This
controversy
is fucking
Right?
ancient medicine. This is like
It's as primal as we can go, right? It's like we don't need to make it down to the microparticle. It's like the oil gland will just ignite and we get high.
The whole smoking, though, I hear the comparison with like cigarettes, and I heard this from one of the health professionals that were in opposition. They're like, oh, well, because of the tar, right? But what is like RSO? It's almost like the tar, right?
Yeah.
So it has still health benefits in a way.
Well, I
right?
think it's about carcinogens inside the plant material itself, right?
Are you claiming that the resin that gets on your lips when you have that really resiny joint is good for you? Is that what I'm hearing?
Lick your lips,
Totally.
Uncle Erik.
But like you got to think about like when you're making RSO, you're using a solvent to extract, right? So
Yeah.
it's more of a pure process. I believe they're talking about like igniting plant material, and
Yeah.
that's where dabbing kind of makes its way into the key component where it's vaporizing, right? But the key side of the dabbing, especially low temp dabbing, is a lot of microbials from the plant. So you get away from the carcinogens, but you get into, aspergillus that can get passed down
Ooh,
into your
yeah.
extracts. And you take a low temp dab where it doesn't totally disinfect your dabs. So now you're starting getting that intake, right? Same thing with carts too. If your cart doesn't burn it and disinfect it,
Yeah.
essentially you're still getting yeast
Yeah.
and molds. So double-edged sword,
Right? Freedom of choice.
freedom of choice.
Freedom of choice.
I see
Freedom
my
of
uncle roll a
choice.
fucking cowboy, just like a joint cigarette and smoke it, and I was like, cool, man. That was
Right?
awesome. Yeah, badass motherfucker right there.
What are some you wanted to talk about the arguments
Oh,
regarding
shit.
regarding driving while intoxicated or whatever it was, and what is it like youth consumption
Adolescent?
and hold on,
Yeah.
I was trying to remember without looking, and emergency room visits. Go.
Go, go, go. Okay. No, so okay. With all of the opposition, one of the big ones was driving while impaired, how it's going to cause so many more deaths, so many more emergency rooms, so many more injuries, right? And so when I heard this, I was like super kind of butthurt. I was like, whoa, that sounds not right and kind of weird and mean. So I was like, let me look this up and see what's up, right? And so basically what the research and data shows is that people who use cannabis chronically or medically, who use it on a regular basis, they have very little cognitive change when they use cannabis. So you could use it and test really high but not be impaired,
Totally.
right?
The standards can't apply to cannabis as it does for alcohol.
Exactly.
And there is no real field test.
There
to
is
test-
now.
What, with your breath or your?
So it's a blood test. This is
They're gonna take your blood on the side of the road.
That's what this is.
Come in and make
Since
cut
when
you.
are these cops qualified to do
That's
this
why
shit?
these cops are like, we don't want to do this shit. And,
Yeah, we don't want you to do it either.
and
You know what's funny?
Can
What
you
if
imagine the
what
first
if
lawsuit?
can you imagine?
Bruh, the
I
one
got
cop,
this infection? What the fuck, dude? Come on. Dude,
even nurses can't find veins sometimes.
So it would probably, it's
still
like a
got the-
finger stick, but it's notoriously inaccurate.
Right.
Okay, so say somebody does dabs and they could have not smoked for 3 days and they'll still pop way over the limit. And they haven't smoked for 3 days. They're not impaired. So,
fuck.
so
Here's that
basically,
Chad.
yeah.
Good enough for
So,
driving.
but the people that are dangerous are the people who are new to cannabis and younger men.
You know what's crazy? That standard. Well,
I was just thinking, good thing I started smoking way before I started driving.
Right?
yeah, you're just hardening
I
your
was
system.
ready already.
You were ready.
Yeah. I mean, I don't drive while I'm high. No, or you can say sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I totally forgot.
Oh, my bad.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, so because I was like, okay, and there is definitely young men tend to, they did all these studies, and it's in Canada. So Canada, actually has a big pool, because they collect all the data for everything and they fucking research, right? So, so what they showed was that there was an increase in young men who had high levels of THC having accidents where there was an injury. So they were right in that younger people, and I also imagine cannabis naive people can be dangerous. They should not be driving. Nobody should really be driving while impaired, but people who use cannabis on a regular basis, they have very little changes in the driving tests.
It's
Could
like
they
how to
develop-
determine if you're impaired or not.
Could
Like,
they develop like a field sobriety equivalent to
that's
an
what-
alcohol test?
So that's where it comes in with like, okay, if they're gonna do these cannabis DUIs, because that was like my whole argument too, was like these DUIs are fucking stupid. Like
You ask.
it's
all
one big
I know how
super
to-
troopers.
I know how you
fucking-
catch them. You just ask them a simple question. If they
Littering
give you a really
and-
long answer and just keep talking, it's like, bro, you're high. Let's go.
littering
Yeah.
and
no. So doing a field sobriety,
Yeah.
right? And if you fail field sobriety, then do testing. But we really don't want any, like, because the cannabis DUI testing, it's still really new and it's not efficient. Because, like I said, you could have smoked a dab 3 days ago and still be over, 8 nanograms per milliliter just because you have that and you're not impaired.
Imagine if
right?
you ate an edible,
Some
right?
sort of
Yeah.
like, like a balance test, like an actual field sobriety
You
test.
cannot.
But I mean, it wouldn't work on you, so they'd let you go because you're not impaired. But speaking of for like a nude smoker or something like that who wouldn't pass that because they are all fucked up, then that's you're impaired, and then you treat it as a regular DWI, whether
Yes.
it's on alcohol or because you can get pulled over. Say you took too much Vicodin and you're driving impaired, you'll blow for a breathalyzer fine. But if
Fine.
you're doing this and you can't stand, they'll take you in for a DWI because it's not alcohol.
Totally.
But that's why DWIs exist for everything other than alcohol.
Yeah.
And if somebody is showing impairment, displaying impairment, then treat it as such and move on.
Yeah.
There's no need extra testing and all that
No
kind of
need
shit. Yeah.
all that, because I was like, yeah. So that was kind of what I wanted to bring up, is that, why the DUIs were dumb, and doing field sobriety is much.
And you said the finger prick thing is not even that accurate.
No.
How long does it take to process the results?
So I'm not sure how long it takes, but it's not accurate for impairment, right? It doesn't judge impairment.
Mm-hmm.
And then adolescents, so they kept bringing up, like, this is going to increase teen cannabis use, right? And then the pro-cannabis people would be like, well, in states where cannabis was legalized, cannabis use went down. But the actual truth is that cannabis use is down with all of our youth. Like, so from the 90s, it's like 26s.
We're leading by example. Like, I don't want to fucking be like that guy.
Yeah. And now, nationwide, it's like 12%. So it's like kids are just like, they're like, weed's cool, whatever, but they're not like high schoolers, right?
Yeah.
They don't have the aches and pains that I got.
I got it.
Dude,
I know why. Because they're all indoors on their devices and they don't want to
Right?
go outside, and you have to go outside to smoke weed.
And talk to people to like figure out weed. So maybe.
And totally like, fucking, they look at us. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like,
Rebel.
yeah, but I've seen it before. It's nothing. And for me, like growing up, like just being able to ritual hiding.
Yeah.
And being stoned and nobody would know that I was stoned. Just like, I got away with it. That was kind of cool to me, and that was an added thrill to the ritual of smoking, right? Oh, shit, I'm around family. And just straight face it all the way through.
The struggle is real, bro. Good times. And then, what was the
Oh. Shit. People going into the emergency room.
emergency room visits?
Yeah. So they
What
brought
was their
that up.
claim there?
So they were saying that poison control and ER visits went up really high during legalization. And it's true for old people and for kids.
Oh, shit.
I was like, damn.
Shucks.
Like, it went up like 1,879% in California.
No
And
shit.
this is from medical, right? So them going from, all these years of medical. So they had medical, but once they went from medical to basically commercialized cannabis, is like it went up by 1,879%.
Holy shit.
But I think it's all because of edibles, right?
Yes.
Because these old people, and you have like, people with no experience really, there's a lot of good bud tenders, but also, it's minimum wage jobs in a lot of places, and they're like, oh yeah, I just take one, or, And
And like a bud tender's essentially a pharmacist.
yeah, which is interesting.
It's like, holy shit, this young kid's gonna give medical advice to this old person that needs medicine. So like, again, advocating for the farmer, right?
Yeah.
The farmer will have more of an intimate relationship with the patient. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, you know, your family member has this and this and this. Shit, I got a couple strains that might help them.
Yeah.
At the very least, that's the most intimate relationship we can have based on the basic knowledge a farmer should have over his crop, right? But you got this teenager, you know, or
Yeah.
not teenager, fucking 20-year-old sitting behind a desk and the counter and
And you know what? These old boomers probably
Right.
see these young stoner kids and immediately think, oh, they know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah.
exactly.
Just because their stereotype is these.
He looks like a pothead.
man. Yeah,
Yeah.
man, this one is super chill.
And then they're just going to be like, oh, okay, sure.
Pop.
Sure, Sebastian. I'll just do whatever you say.
But I mean, I also think that's why it's so important to have an education.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
it has to. And we've been begging the DOH to do education for like a decade, and they finally hired an educator.
Yes.
So
How are those like online cannabis colleges and shit? Are those legit or are they just fucking pretty wonky?
I was a professor
Oh shit.
for a weed college for Pacific.
And it's for real?
Yeah, so we have a weed, like just it was like a certificate.
Mm-hmm.
So I have
But
that
what-
upstairs.
Oh, you do?
But is that? I mean, it's a good. It's a
It's
good
like a university.
education in it, though, right? But I mean, it's a good core. It's a good, I guess, university to attend to
There's your
get the basic
signature on
knowledge
it.
and all that shit, right? Oh shit, you have it from her. You gotta post that shit.
Oh, dude, I fucking will so bad, dude.
For Pacific University.
It was Don Lee. Remember Don or Lee? Don Lee, and then you were there teaching the class, and there's one more other speaker there.
Oh, yes.
Little certificate. I was like, oh shit, May's signature. See, when you get famous, I got
Dude,
your fucking
I forgot
autograph,
about
yo.
that one. Dude, that was like 2017.
Oh, it was a while ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago. That's hysterical. But yeah, no, it's like a college, and it was cool. Like, but
It was real shit. Like you taught
Yeah.
some like facts, you know, like
I think the weed college should really just be like fucking farming. I think that's the most important weed college, honestly.
and like what to look for in weed,
Yeah.
like you know, and like appreciate where it came from, and like what to just like produce, you
Yeah.
know, like my kalo. I want to make sure I grab them from somebody that knows what they're doing. I don't want to see worms or like rotted out. I want someone that knows how to grow the food that I like to grow. So it's the simple things, you know. It's like educating people on like what it took to get your flour and what is good flour. You know, when you start looking
Yeah.
and like, oh, that looks frosty. Like, do you really know? You know, I did this little experiment within the two grows, the indoor and the outdoor, and it can be broken down economically too, right? So, a gram of weed, same strain, was the Blue Magoo cookies from Professor P, indoor and one outdoor. One washed and it caught at 120, which was the outdoor, and one washed indoor was like 90. So 120 is a bigger mesh, 90 is a smaller mesh, right? So you can conclude that outdoor had a bigger gland head than the indoor, but the indoor was just dense and it looked beautiful, right? But the gland head was tiny. So you know, I'm led to believe that the gland head lacked complexity in the smaller one than it did in the bigger one, would justify that Hawaiian sun grown, you know, had the terps, right? And that
Always got the terps.
always got the terps.
Yes.
So if it catches in the 120, now let's look at economically, right? You're buying a nug that's 1 gram, but it's like this big.
No.
You're buying of indoor, knowing what I know that I've got.
Alexi? Okay,
Okay.
I couldn't see from. That's a gram? That's
I mean,
small, bro.
Right? See, you spoiled bastard.
Dense.
Can't believe you used to pay that $20 for that shit.
So like, hey, you look at a gram of outdoor, which is a little bit more fluffier, right?
Yeah.
But knowing what we know about the gland head, it's like this gland head offers me less per dollar because I'm paying for less complexity and a smaller gram per oil, right?
Yeah.
So economically, like the outdoor farmers are the ones that we should be taking care of, and the ones should be
Yeah.
establishing this bar and this education for the people
100%.
coming up, right? So little numbers. Small kind.
And, Celia is teaching at UH Hilo, the first cannabis class.
Get the fuck out of
Yeah,
here.
shout out.
Celia Tapp. Because, she's a scientist and she's a professor. So,
Shout out to UH Hilo for embracing that program, right?
And, well, UH Manoa, their law school, they have a cannabis curriculum.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Garrett, who had the original HDA, he's the professor for it and in charge of it. And
That's so cool.
yeah, and it's a cannabis law class where it's really good. They do a full deep dive. So UH has something, which it's good. It's but I think it should focus on agriculture. That
Right. Well, it's kind of like what's best at that university, right?
Yeah.
So UH is known for law. They got their law program, and there's so much attorneys that could give you the right information regarding cannabis versus UH Hilo.
Yeah.
UH Hilo is more agricultural derived, so Celia fits in perfect with that spot. It's like fucking shout out to UH.
yeah, shout out to them for doing it.
So cool. And I like that. I like that progressive thinking, and hopefully the universities follow suit, and all over HPU. Just if you can put out something that'll benefit this new movement we got the right way, set that bar for people, the education foundation. Dude, that's fucking awesome,
Yeah.
I think DARE should be adjusted a little bit.
Should be abolished.
I mean, I was scared straight not to do meth because he showed me pictures of fucking chronics when I was young. I was like,
You would have been scared straight enough just riding around Crestview.
Yeah.
no, totally. I saw what I saw in the books riding around Crestview, holy shit, there's what I just saw. I don't want to do meth, right?
Yeah, just reinforced it.
Exactly.
No.
It was okay, but it was a big lie when it came to cannabis. Right?
Yeah.
Super big lie.
But they need to change their stance.
Change
Remove
it.
that part at least.
Yeah. Just be don't hate mom and daddy if you see them stoned.
Still teach kids to say
Right.
no to Batu.
Right.
Just say no.
I think
To Batu.
bottom line, I think, is education. It sounds like is the key, right? Is education in all senses, just revamping. Yeah, I'm high. Sorry.
No, I'm making making the about truth, the education about truth. You don't have to sugarcoat it for the kids. Yeah, show them pictures of fucking methed out people, but educate the truth. Oh no, this is a medicine that can be used, that can be abused, especially for a kid with the statistics that we have from Canada, right? Especially the males be yo, fucker, don't smoke. Dude, you guys should stay away from this shit because if you guys get behind a wheel, you're gonna kill somebody.
Or if you're gonna smoke, don't fucking drive.
Just don't
dummies.
drive. Skate, dude.
Teaching kids that too much of anything is a bad thing.
Right. I'm preaching to my
yeah.
kids about junk food.
Yeah.
I want a snack from school. No, get that out of here. Fucking grab something healthy, because that habit of
Oh yeah.
it's the same shit. Teach
It's
them
crazy. I've been putting chips and gummies in my kids' snack bags, and they come home and it's still there.
Fuck yeah.
And then I've been swapping it out with bananas and fucking oranges and stuff, and they're gone.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good shit. And that's boys too.
Yeah.
Right?
I tripped. I was like, oh shit, cool.
Right? You're right on.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
No.
working.
Good
Throw
job.
some beef jerky in there. There you go, guys.
Ooh.
We did at one point, but we just ran out of it and didn't re-up on it.
That's a perfect snack. I wish
really
I had that,
is.
man. In school. Oh, dude.
Right.
McDonald's and Jack in the Box was the diet. Fuck. We got to change that. That's the cycle we got to break, man. Is feeding our kids right.
Yeah.
Education.
Dude, education. And, going to Costco, a quick trip to Costco will tell you exactly what not to do is go to Costco, right? Because you go through the aisles and, the frozen food aisles, all you see is shit. I would not give that to my kids. Sorry if you do, but I would not, because everything says bad on it.
Yeah.
How is this going to stay in my freezer forever and then I can thaw it out and it'd be good to eat? I don't understand that,
That's how refrigeration works.
Yeah, but not that long, right?
Not
That's how freezing works.
Like a hot pocket, right? I'll take the hot pocket out
Not
and
forever.
I mean,
Forever.
longer than a food should be.
Right.
Well, it's and preservatives and all that kind of stuff. Food
Yeah.
shouldn't really last that long, anyways.
I'm a bacon
Ultra-processed.
fanatic, bro, but nitrates are always on the back of my mind as preservatives, right? It's fuck, I can't have that. I don't want that, but I want bacon. So I guess making your own bacon's the next step, you know? Fuck.
Making bacon.
Making bacon on the ride, right?
Wilbur.
I think we should wrap it up. How long have we been
I
going,
know.
Butt Naked?
Like 2.5 hours.
Oh shit.
Fuck, that's cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
dude.
And
Oh,
by the
it's
way,
good.
shout out to Butt Naked. We didn't shout you out earlier in the beginning.
Okay.
He was here this whole time.
Hammer.
But yeah, so tell people where they can follow you. Actually, before we tell everybody where they can follow you to get more information and all that, remind everybody the bills that are still alive that they can, add testimony to or just follow and keep up to date and all that.
I don't know. I don't think there's any testimony left,
Oh, dang it.
right?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Well,
It's-
just to
it's
watch
just
and keep
decision
tabs on.
making. Yeah, it's just decision making.
Well, nonetheless, keep an eye on it because
Yeah.
this is decisions that's going to affect you if you consume
yeah,
cannabis.
and you can still write your lawmakers or write your representative, right? Because there are people that represent your area, zip code or whatever, not right. And if people don't like what they see, then they have an outlet to tell whatever they feel. It's good because they have to kind of take our voice no matter what.
Mhm.
They're in public service.
Yep.
So however the voice is, whether it's in whatever type of way, that's the community being engaged.
Totally.
I feel like a lot of us maybe wouldn't have normally been this engaged, but these are some important topics that include us all, and so it's kind of neat to see like where the community is gonna just fill in the holes, fill in the gaps wherever we need.
Right.
Yeah.
All
Now
right.
tell everybody where they can find you guys.
Malie Clinic on Instagram, Malie Clinic on TikTok.
And your website? You have a
Oh, my
real-
website
Yeah.
is MalieCannabisClinic.com.
Yeah.
I got the cannabis on my website, but we get censored on all the socials.
Wise.
It's okay.
Wise. Got to play the algorithms, right?
Yeah.
Smart. Stay relevant.
And
Yeah,
you,
that's
librarian,
tough.
what library can we find you at?
That stuff. Cannabis Society of Hawaii are on IG.
Cool.
You, sir?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Grow Guru Hawaii and the Guru's Grow Supply.
And Voices
Check
from the
me out.
Planet, everywhere. And Butt Naked.
Butt Naked on IG.
Short and sweet. I like it.
Cool. And shout out to Turtle Doves who couldn't be here.
We'll see him soon.
And real quick, we got to do our sponsor things. Shout out to Mills Nutrients. Mills pays the bills.
Shout out to Pakalolo Farmers. Beth. I did it again.
Beth and Jackie.
Yeah. Best clothing line around. Pakalolo
the
Farmers.
Beth Clothing Line.
Beth Clothing Line.
I'm probably going to fuck one up too now.
Do
I
it.
Mock you.
Yeah.
Hybrid Collective in beautiful Kaimuki.
Yes.
Check them out on IG.
Come check him out. We're going to be swapping up pieces. So if you guys want, you guys can check him out. You can grab beautiful artwork like this.
Not if you want, just do it.
Just
go check 'em
fucking check him out. Jay's cool, dude. Talk story.
Mhm.
But you can
Yeah,
get shit like this, and there's more to shop from. So check him out.
out. And Meat Lux for your Wagyu.
Wagyu
Wow.
needs.
Do they have any specials right now on Wagyu?
No, just check them out at that their shop in Kaneohe.
Mhm.
They're just plugging away. I know that they were bringing in lamb one time, and I was like, ooh, gotta get some of that.
Yeah.
Wagyu
Sounds really
lamb?
good.
Or just regular
It's
lamb?
like craft lamb.
It's Waggler lamb.
Yeah.
Dude,
It's
Dad.
that time.
And Brutal Mars Arts for all your graphic design needs. And special shout out to Weed Maps. Fucking for giving us these super fat
Dogen.
inflatable joints.
A bunch of swag.
Oh, yeah.
Beanies, stickers, blankets,
It's gonna
banners. So stay tuned. Shout out to Weed Maps.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you guys for being
Thank
here.
you guys. Appreciate you guys
Appreciate
so
it.
much.
Thank you guys.
Clap it out.